So it's like double the juice. Okay, double the algo juice.
Okay.
So 2 times 0.007.2. Yes, there's 2 decimals in this number.
I'm getting. I suppose I can get like 7 cents of ad revenue instead of 5.
Yeah, you get cents?
It's gonna.
How? Teach me your ways,
on a good
bro.
month. On a good month, if I get like a. Dude, if I get a good raid, I can get like a whole 5 cents. It's insane. It's
That's
good.
Pretty dope.
It's so
Have
good.
you tried filling out the 17-page application process for being graced like once a month by the Twitch front page? I mean, I really should do that.
No. Do they accept anyone? Any just...
Yeah, you gotta be in their Discord.
Isn't that just...
You gotta join Twitch's Discord.
Oh my god, do I need to be in their DMs as well? What is this?
I'll send, yeah, you gotta like and subscribe, Twitch.
Oh my god.
I'll send you their thing.
Oh, fucking hell. Really, send me their thing. They'll never... So I was talking to a friend, a streamer friend that was doing that whole thing. It was accepted for the front page. And she was like, oh yeah, she's the most family-friendly streamer I know, you know, out of all of them. But she was worried because like, oh, we can curse, we can... And she never curses as well. We can curse, we can show violent things. We had to, you know,
violent things is my jam.
Fondles Twitch CEO's balls so that he feels validated and
you know, I've been to Twitch headquarters, right?
You know,
I'm basically
I don't know what to do. She was very worried.
They had like free beer and pizza. So I mean I've taken full disclosure. I've taken bribes. I talked to their people that work.
Is that like a?
It was like a streamer meet and greet.
But did they have like a ping pong table? That's the question.
Yeah, they sent me an email like, "Hey, we're having a thing here in San Francisco. Come on down to Twitch HQ and like play arcade games with our like employees and other streamers." And we did. They had like a bunch of consoles hooked up, and they had like 4-player Pac-Man and other shit. It was fun.
Of course, they had the consoles.
They had a whole like game room.
Send invite.
Oh, we did it. We have managed to achieve.
Of course they did.
The rainbow.
Oh my god. Technological enlightenment.
I mean,
that's what I call technological enlightenment.
Who needs AI when we have like click a button to join chats? It's do you think when they invented IRC like 30 years ago, they ever imagined that it would be used as like live chat for people playing video games?
For this degeneracy? There's no way.
Or, like whoever, like the poor like
this
nerds who came up with it. They're just like, I mean, if they're still alive, they're probably just they're feeling shame towards their ancestors.
How to multi-view now?
How to? Oh,
I suppose you can choose one, and you'll be in both chats, so it doesn't really matter, right? Unless you wanna. We could in the future we could like
and
get away
do this
share
thing
cameras.
where you can put like it's like an external site that puts both Twitch streams in the same window. But like,
yeah, there's a thing like that, but
I mean, if you want to like make one for yourself and link it, go for it.
I don't know. I don't like that.
Well, Dave and I, we're tech experts, so we're not gonna do any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Instead, we're gonna pontificate.
As a tech expert, if I could, I would keep like a loaded gun besides anything that makes strange noises, that has, you know, electrical power. That's the sort of tech expert I am.
Do you hate noise?
Have you ever had like a printer that
Oh,
no,
yes.
Have you ever had a printer that suddenly starts coming back to life and you're like, what is going on?
Yes, there's a printer actually like it's haunted on my desk right now. If power fluctuates or something, because you know we live in a third world country that doesn't like
go like,
yeah, it's like
yeah, that you can't trust that. You can't trust that thing.
It's just like you spot up devil. Like I just want to hit it with a stick till it stops.
But people don't understand that. The more you understand about technology, And the more you, the more you educate yourself in technology, the
Mhm.
more you absolutely hate it.
Oh yeah, the scarier it gets. It's not one of those things where
It's
like
not
I don't understand science, so I'm gonna blame this, call this medicine woman a witch. It's like, no, I understand the technology, and yes, it is actually
exactly, and
the
I don't
spawn of
want it.
Satan.
Exactly. Do you heard about the there was a weird flex. So the Emirates or something offered, or was it the Saudi royal family? One of those
Both.
offered the US some planes,
Oh no.
right?
Oh, it was
And
Qatar.
they were
It was Qatar that, like with
was
Trump,
Qatar?
right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Like he
Trump,
saw
exactly,
he saw
exactly.
the airplane, or like they like took him on a plane or something they were making to like show him, and he liked it. So it's like, oh, we'll get you one. We'll set one up for you as well, because he's literally a 2-year-old. Like he's literally a badly raised 2-year-old, and these guys know it, and they're like, just give him a jiggly, just give him
As
a
long
pair
as
of
he gets
keys, you
Dino
know.
Nuggies, right?
Yeah, nothing against 2-year-olds.
Yeah, but like as long as you get him Dino Nuggies, I think the country would be okay.
I mean, to
But
be
if
fair,
he
that would
runs
also
out,
work on me. You got some, Dave? You got some Dino Nuggies?
I'm, I'm afraid I don't. I'm ashamed to admit that I didn't even have Dino Nuggies once. Can you believe that?
What?
So that maybe
That explains
I
everything.
never had Dino Nuggies.
That's why you're so messed up
Maybe
as
it
a
does.
person.
Yeah,
And
that
have no,
explains the brain damage. Yeah.
yeah, the lack of soul. Well, did you at least have animal crackers? Maybe that animal crackers are like the boomer Dino Nuggies.
No, I had crackers, but no animal shaped. No animal. I never consumed animal shaped food items
Oh, are
in my
you like
life. I don't believe.
did you have like veggie crackers, like shaped like a carrot or something? What?
No, just crackers. Just shaped like crackers. What the hell are you
What do you
talking
mean?
about?
Just like round?
Just round,
Oh my
exactly.
god!
Dude, I went to the factory. That's it. They were like, we had this school trip, and we're going to the cracker factory, which doesn't
Where they
sound
make the
as
white
good.
people?
Yeah, exactly. Um, we went to this factory, and we went there. People like, these are crackers. These are crackers, and we're like, all right, can we take some home? And they were like, yeah. And we start just shoving every single possible cracker that we could in our backpacks. Dude, we smuggled so many crackers, it was insane. It was insane. And then they had like the sweet section as well, and we started
Jeez,
shoving
wow.
that in our backpacks.
That must have blown your
It
little
was basically,
child's mind.
it was insane. Yeah, infinite. It's straight from the source. It was amazing.
Yeah, like
We're like,
when I
these
was
are
a
the
kid,
vanilla ones.
I wanted to grow up and be a confectioner. Like I wanted to work at a pastry store. I was like, if I worked there, I got infinite like eclairs and stuff.
Yeah, that was the dream.
That was the dream.
Working,
That was my
because you
childhood
had
dream.
access?
Well, later on, I changed my mind and decided to become a brain surgeon. But the yeah, but the reason for that, it's important to remember, is my best friend in like first grade, his dad was a brain surgeon, and
Okay.
he would always bring for like recess and stuff the best candy, like
Oh, I see.
yes, and it's like
My God, the damage that sugar did. You you were like hooked in. You were hooked in, and you're like, listen, I'm gonna rearrange my whole path in life so that I can have access. If being a confectioner doesn't work, I'm gonna become a brain surgeon, because has to be a path to sugar.
yes,
If my friend brings sugar, he must have his ways.
yeah. I was like,
wanted
how
to
can I
be-
like that was my ultimate goal in life. It was like to be able to have tasty things, and clearly becoming a brain surgeon is the best way to do that.
I suppose I never had like any of that, but I suppose we were very much into, the shit that certain confections would bring with it, like cards and stuff, collectibles.
Oh,
And
okay.
like,
So you
yeah,
were Yeah, I remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle
Within like an
bubblegum.
entire packet of like, yeah,
It was
of like
like a
these.
little card pack, and in it was like the size of a card, a gum, like a flat baseball card sized
Oh,
gum. And
right. We had those similar ones as well. So it was bubble gums. Although I wasn't, I never liked bubble gum, but it had stuff. It came with loot. So I was like, let's fucking go. It was packets of crisps or chips, depending. Um, and they had like multiple things. They had like these what do you call those round plastic things
Tazos?
that you would yeah, they had like Tazos, they had like
They're called something else in the
card.
U.S., but in Australia they were called Tazos.
Yeah, we had Tazos as well. And we would gamble with those as
Well,
well.
the
So
slammer,
it
right?
was
Like
it was not
so there were the little chips
yeah,
in the Lay's
exactly.
packs, and then there was like the bigger one that you would like smack. Like I never learned how you're supposed to actually play that, but I made my mom buy those chips, especially like the
Yeah,
big pack with the single packs, and then like because that's what all the other kids had, and I desperately wanted to
there
fit
was
in.
exactly
Pogs,
the
yes, they're
pogs. Yeah,
called pogs. Thank you,
That's
Messias.
it. That's it. The pogs. And I remember like there was the massive packs had like this huge Tazo. It was barely a Tazo. It was like almost a disc that you could, just a big one. You couldn't play with those, really, not really. But the other ones, every single kid had like just a stack of them, a lot of them. Some of them were the images were completely they were blank because of playing so much with them, like just
Yes, they're
smacking them
completely
against each
faded.
other.
Yes.
Yeah, completely.
Yeah,
There was
this
nothing
wasn't something
left.
you kept
But they
shrink
were
wrapped to later sell on Etsy 30 years later for $1,000, which is what apparently
not
people are
at
doing
all,
with
not at
the
all.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bubblegum. I just found some. I was Googling.
I still have some. I still have some pristine ones, but I don't think anyone wants to buy my Tazos.
so, Dave, so this is our like first time doing it, but so I apologize to people for do you want to turn on? Can you do your screen because I had your stream up and it looks really cool, and I want to put it on my screen so people can see like both of us.
Oh right. Next time we should. I'll arrange so that we can have both of the things with like green screens and everything.
So like, can you put your OBS feed as your virtual camera? Like,
yes, I believe I can.
Like, because I think if you do that, I can just put it up right now because I haven't waited. I've done that before.
I believe I can. Yeah, let me try. Let me try. In it.
Worth a try. Oh, there was something.
There we go. It's connecting.
Connect to Mundo. Okay, yes, I see it. Is frozen
Is it moving at all
right now?
It's...
Okay.
Ugh,
Can you move?
Bruv. Yeah.
There it is. 1 FPS. Let's go. Beautiful stuff.
Oh my god, what is this? I don't think this is gonna work.
All right.
I don't think this is collaborating.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a really janky, like low res screenshot of this and put it on my screen, and I think it's just gonna be fantastic. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, this is not. I'm gonna try again to see if the.
It's easy.
No, OBS does not like that.
That's fine. I've never managed to get that like virtual camera business to work, so I wasn't very hopeful for it.
Yeah.
Because I'd really like your little studio setup,
but...
and I thought it would be cool. But
it's not complete. It's under construction. I stole it from BBC. I don't think they need it though, so it's fine. We can put some stuff back there in the TVs. We can put in the. This is the control section right here.
Yeah, and you're actually doing it in 1440p. So
I can put you here somewhere.
Beautiful.
I am.
Yeah, on Twitch at least it's 1440p. But also your Twitch is even low FPS now. Is that Is that just me, or is that maybe somebody in chat can confirm? Your OBS is just like
you.
on strike. I have broken
No,
Dave's
it's
stream. Beautiful.
0 frames dropped, I think.
Yeah. Here, let me
0 frames dropped.
let me. I'm gonna turn on my screen share. Well, do you happen to have my stream open in the background?
Yeah, I do. Yes.
Okay. Let me show you what it looks like. Oh, it's working now.
But-
Okay. It was like a PowerPoint for a little bit, and then it stopped being a PowerPoint.
Okay.
So okay, that's fine.
I see. Hello. Hi.
It's super delayed, so I'm not actually gonna show it, but pretty good. This is
Just replicate that. Just copy paste that multiple times and just make like a background, but it's like
like
a
just,
mosaic of.
That's true. Copy paste.
This is
Paste the reference.
I'm here for. Listen, it is what it is. This is episode 0, okay? Because we never done this. So episode 0 of whatever this is. Eventually, it will evolve. You know.
Yeah, and then what I'm gonna
my
do
God,
is I'm gonna have like a Flappy Bird also on the screen.
Right.
Yeah, on top of the World of Warcraft. I think that's
my sus. That's my sus look.
yeah. Sam says he got 3 mythics in one day. Do you know any resources for treating Diablo addiction, Dave? I'm just asking for a friend.
I'm afraid. I only know the barn method.
The barn method? What's the barn method?
You take them behind the barn, and you know.
Sam, I'm sorry, bro. Sam, old boy, we're gonna have to put you down. Come on.
Next thing you know, they pass that to you, and then you can't get rid of it. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. You don't want to risk it, right? You don't want to risk no Diablo connections.
Fortunately, I'm inoculated. I played like 16 million hours of Diablo 3. And I'm pretty sure I'm the one who infected him with the D4 bug. But I moved on, you know. I'm like a herpes giver, a spreader. I'm a, what is it called?
What a statement. I'm like a herpes giver.
Yes, exactly. It's there was the term people were using, like asymptomatic carrier. That's what I am.
Right.
Yeah, I got Pastor hooked on Star Trek Fleet Command, and he had to go cold turkey. So I mean, I'm just spreading, you know, like. Did you ever see the movie The Fifth Element?
A long time ago.
So there's a bad guy in that movie. Well, there's like the evil, but there's also like one guy who, excuse me, he's a human, but he's trying to bring about like the end times or just destruction and chaos, and he's always like helping the forces of evil. Like I'm that guy. I'm just like I just want the world to burn, essentially.
Well, I don't share such a. I don't want the world to burn, but I don't think there's anything that says that it doesn't deserve it. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if we could isolate like the Elon Musks of the world and just burn them separately.
Dude, we have an island in Portugal that is just bird shit and rocks. We could perfectly. It's not that far off the coast.
Wait, what is the name of this island?
It's called Berlengas. It's supposed to be, you know, a natural reserve of.
Tell me how to type that in Kona.
Okay, Berlengas would be like. Yeah, it's not accessible all the time. I think if it wasn't accessible, it would be fine as well. And it's just bird shit and rocks. It's fine.
Oh,
we can accommodate. We can accommodate a couple of billionaires.
Bro, I want to live here. Wait. Bird shit and rocks. Are you sure?
Yeah. I am sure, yes.
But this is pretty. It's like aqueducts and shit. Were the Romans here? Like,
no. That's Berlenga Grande. That's not it. It's Berlengas.
How do you spell Gej?
It's just an S. Every time you see an S in a Portuguese word, it's pronounced SH. Most of the time.
Yeah, that's it. That's what Google's showing me.
I typed it in chat and everything. Dude, you have one job.
Listen, when I'm playing WoW, the control C, that's
not it. Wait, but that's not it.
What?
It's the other one. Yeah.
Berlingus?
Oh, there we go. Oh, Berlinga Grand Island. Yeah.
It's the same.
We call it Berlingas because there's a tiny island next to it. Yeah. There's nothing there. It looks pretty, but it's like there's absolutely nothing.
Well, I mean,
I think we could fit a couple of billionaires there.
let's do it. Bro, like
it looks like a dragon's den of sorts, so they could just store their hoard there and never touch any other soul on the planet, you know? We just let them bury their treasure there under the castle or something. I don't know.
we could.
Just an idea. Yeah, we take Bezos, we take like Musk, the Zuck.
Oh, I
we take
found
the Zuck as well.
This is like the kind of
Kind
prison
of
they would put Napoleon in. Why does this exist? It's crazy. The video.
Well, we have a lot of that. You know, any of those rocks would be older than.
I
the
mean,
nation
bro,
of
you
the
say
United
this is like
States, so-
bird poop and rocks.
We
but
had time. That's what I mean.
this is gorgeous.
There's
looking.
literally nothing. That's the ugliest shit we have.
Jesus. I mean, I guess you guys are a bit blessed. Portugal is probably like all just so beautiful. This is like the low tier shit. You're like, I'm looking at this and going, wow, I want to go there. But I understand that to you, it's like,
but I wouldn't.
Those are rocks.
To me, it's just bird shit and rocks.
Yeah.
Literally.
Well, what kind of
But
bird? Is it like
we don't need to
penguins
put him-
or?
It's just just regular birds.
Regular
Of
birds.
the regular kind.
Just the bird kind.
Yeah, just a bird kind. Have you ever heard of the Gastelugaci? Let me pull it up actually.
All right.
Gastelugaci in the Basque country. It's the
Gastelugaci.
how do I
Gotcha.
Gastelugat. I want to say it's like this.
Okay.
Gastelugaci. So it's like this.
Okay, so
Let me
X is
pull it up as
actually
well.
che. Cool.
This is not Portuguese, by the way. It's in the Basque country, but you know,
Okay.
it's the island where they based Dragonstone from.
Oh.
And I witnessed. So we went there a couple of years ago to the Basque country.
It
Wonderful
looks small.
Food is like. It's a region of Spain now, but it has
Oh.
its own culture, language. A language, by the way, the Basque does not descend from any other branch of languages in Europe. It's
Oh.
crazy. No one knows where it came from.
Wow.
So it's like
So it's basically ancient
usually
Valyrian.
Spanish. Basically, yes, it's exactly that. Because it doesn't look like we can't understand it. It doesn't look anything like Spanish, although we know current Basque integrated Spanish words and they speak Spanish because they're part of Spain now. But like, there's no relationship whatsoever with Spanish or Portuguese or Galician or anything like that, because all the other languages evolved independently as a bastardization of Latin, right?
Yeah.
But Basque, nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing like it.
So like the Romans
we
just didn't
kind
want
of-
to
there's-
fucking go
there's-
on this island and left it alone, or what?
Gastelugaci is just a tiny place off the coast of the Basque country. The Basque country is quite big.
Okay.
It's like the north of Spain, and then
We need
in
a
ancient
kingdom
times it
come
would extend
deliverance
up
for
to the coast
Portugal.
of France.
I think that would be so cool.
That would have material.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and maybe that period where Portugal was founded, for instance, where the story was basically the sun. So Portugal was a county of sorts, and part of the kingdom of Galicia. And the son decided that he didn't like his mom very much, so he went like, "Mom, screw you. This is now a country." And there you go.
But some hot pockets.
That's and they fought, but he won. He took the country. He declared independence, and then alongside with Castile and Aragon, which had like stuff in common with parts of Italy as well, Naples, I believe. So it was kind of a divided country. But all of them, and Navarre as well, all of them decided to, okay, the Moors had their time. It's time for them to go back to North Africa, and then they just
Wow, racist.
started the Reconquista, right? The Reconquista. This is the reconquering of the Iberian Peninsula,
I see.
because there was a caliphate as well in the south, and that's how Portugal was born.
Ah, beautiful.
They tried to invade a couple of times. No one managed to do it.
Around what year is this? What century or whatever?
It was 11th century.
Okay.
Well, 12th century, really. The foundation of the country was 12th
Was that
century.
considered like early
It was
medieval?
declared.
Or is it?
Yeah, it was 1143.
1143.
It was like early medieval period.
Cool.
1143. Iberian wedding. There's a lot of material there. There was a lot that happened. Actually, the Romans, way before that, they couldn't conquer what is now the Portuguese territories. That part of the Iberian Peninsula, they couldn't quite conquer it by the regular means, for multiple reasons. One of them was that people were actually trained in warfare and like guerrilla tactics and whatnot.
Was the terrain also like defensible?
And yes, the terrain was absolutely a nightmare because they didn't know it, especially in the north of Portugal. They didn't know the terrain very well, so they kept being harassed by the Lusitanians, which were the people that were there before. Which it's a mixture of Celts and other peoples in the Iberian Peninsula, Celts and Visigoths and whatnot, which were kind of barbarians from the Germanic regions. Anyway, we're basically Celts, different kind of Celtic people, but like Celts. And they decided to conquer the Iberian Peninsula, but they couldn't because they kept getting raided, they kept getting attacked, they couldn't do shit. They're like, oh my god. And they wrote, there's like chronicles of their campaigns saying that there was a territory that not only we would not be able to conquer, but no one would be able to conquer that.
So it's
not
like
even,
the
not even
Afghanistan
themselves.
of the Iberian Peninsula.
Yeah, kind of. But the solution was simple. They paid the tribal lords, the tribal chiefs.
Yeah, that's a good solution.
Yeah. And they're like, all right, you give us money, and you can occupy all you want. It's fine.
Yeah, just get the leaders. That makes sense. It's what we do with politicians here. We're just like, we just buy them. It's legal here.
In fact, we were. Yeah,
explicitly. It was like you can even see who's paying which politicians. It's all documented.
We tested it first back then. We're just making sure that the system works.
So it's your fault.
And now you have like super PACs and stuff like that, which is still illegal here, by the way. We don't allow that sort of thing. You can't get and new laws have been passed as well recently. You can't get any form of private. You can't fund your own campaign. Basically, that's the gist of it.
It has to be. So you can't use your own money either. It's got to be.
No.
It's all
you cannot.
You just get public financing for your campaigns, and then that's the set amount you're allowed to spend, and everybody gets.
And if you break that, there's a commission that follows that type of shit. You need all the signatures. You need like a certain number of signatures to form a party and to be a valid candidate party.
Each candidate gets like a set amount. So what's to stop me? Like, okay, let's say I want to run for office, right? So you and Mastigos and Sam and Fleggy, like you guys all get enough signatures yourselves and run for office, and use that money to campaign on things that align with me, and then on the last minute drop out and like endorse me. Like, I don't know if it's like I'm just gaming the system.
You would probably be in trouble. The commission follows that sort of stuff because you have a whole campaign process, and if you're not doing the kind of, it's kind of sus, right? If you have a certain number of core values, and if you're vouching for someone else, the commission goes like, "What's up? Would you like to go to prisons? What could I present you to?" Yeah, you can't do that. Or you are, they just take you away from the race.
They put you on the bird shit island.
Yeah, we send you to Berlengas. That's what's up. We did have a dictatorship not that long ago, and we did have a political prison. We did have a political prison in one of the ex-colonies, I can't remember if
You
it
guys
was
had
in
colonies?
San Tomé.
Portugal? Nah,
A
you guys are
lot.
good. Good people, right?
Dude.
Surely. I'm joking. Yes, I
Dude,
know.
we
I
had
know about.
maps. We
Like
had
they were the
maps.
first ones. You were the like. It was.
Yeah, but we decided to take. When I say we, the guys in control decided to take back control of the colonies to be more on top of it, and that was just that started derailing the whole thing because then the it's complicated, but basically Russia was the Communist Party was backing some of the factions, and then it erupts into civil war, and we couldn't maintain that, so we had to abandon the colonies. But we had political prisons in islands that were basically so hot that people would just die of heat strokes and things like that. So
Yeah, I'm looking at the map of your
there's a solution for.
genocidal rampage throughout the world. One thing stands
Anyway,
out.
mega tangent.
Well, yeah, one colony stands out.
Oh, so Brazil is the most widely known one, but that one was abandoned a long time ago, right? Because it was once the capital of Portugal, by the way. It was the capital of the kingdom.
Oh, really?
We had to move it there because the royal family fled there.
So yeah, I guess they got kicked out of here.
Internal conflict. Yeah, and basically they were running away because people were trying to start the first republic and whatnot. So at some point it was the capital of the king, and also there was French invasions and whatnot. So they fled there. The capital was there for a while. But
There's
anyway,
a lot
Brazil
in the Middle
then
East and
declared
India as
independence.
well. I didn't know about.
Yes, Goa, Damau, and Diu cities, which we didn't conquer anything. They were given to us for.
Just little
They were
outposts,
loaned to
like
us.
trading or zones or whatever, where you guys were allowed.
Most of our colonies originally were not explored, were not exploited in the same sense that the Brits did and the Dutch did, etc. We were more interested in trade than anything, and there was certainly a lot of horrific things going on. But we would set up what we call feitorias, which it's kind of fortified trade post on the coast.
Right. That's what these are.
It's also a building on Age of Empires 2, by the way, if you play that.
Oh. In Age of Empires 3, Portuguese get a new town center every time they age out.
Oh, there you go.
That's what I know about
It's kind of the same
Portuguese history, is that apparently they had a lot of town centers. And
we put a lot of things everywhere. We put crosses and say this is ours now, and then the tribe leaders would be like, "All right, sure, sure, dude." We would say, "Manage this however you like. We just want the trade," and they would be all right. But the colonies in East Asia,
Caçadores, which are like
Southeast
better
Asia.
skirmishers, and you had Caçadores.
Caçadores means hunters.
Okay, the skirmisher with low hit points but a strong attack, good against infantry, and organ guns.
That's weird.
That's the other unique Age of Empires.
It is the unique unit. We introduced the arquebus to the Japanese as well. We single-handedly ended up. It's the gun. It was a precursor to the guns that then developed, right? It's just a barrel. It's a gun, basically a barrel where we put like the gunpowder, you put like the bullet in it, and it's just fire it. It has a flintlock thing.
Ottomans in Age of Empires 3 have this.
Yeah, it would be something like that. I never played.
I guess
the
they
third
got
one.
You never played Age of Empires 3?
The third one, no. I played the second one and I played the first one.
Yeah.
And the fourth one. But never the third. It's quite
the third is better
unique.
than the fourth, in my opinion. It had some problems at launch, but I played it a lot. That was like my RTS. It was the one I played competitively.
Right. So we invented the guns. Go America? No, I'm afraid not. But
no, we just invented using them to kill children. That's our contribution to the history of gun.
You invented school spicy school supplies.
I would say. School supplies. Oh my god.
Yeah, let's put it that way. Immediately
you get a construction board and you get safety scissors and you get some lead. Let's go.
Yeah. And then you go like, oh, this is not working. So what are we gonna do? Bulletproof backpacks, because it's exactly how you solve that sort of situation. And just get more guns. If they have guns, maybe the teachers need guns as well. You know, maybe give guns to the kids as well, and then everyone can. You know, that's how you solve that sort of situation.
I mean, you're
Clearly.
joking, but like that's literally what they're doing. Like they're training.
I know. I know. I'm joking because I know it's exactly what they're doing in some places, which is crazy. They're training.
Like
Teachers
like the
to
police couldn't stop it. So like a teacher will, sure. Let's just do that. Let's just.
But anyway, our colonies in Southeast Asia were more of a loan than anything. We didn't conquer anything. We helped some of them in their wars and everything, and then they were like, "Okay, we're
Hold
gonna."
on, I need to do a
lend you
live
this
fact
for-"
check on this. Sam says that you guys colonized Morocco. Sam, were they exploitative?
Ceuta.
Or
Ceuta.
were they cool about it? I mean,
We lost a king, and there was a king there in the place called Ceuta, which now is part of Morocco as well. But we held it for quite some time.
Portuguese colony.
Ceuta.
Yeah, I don't know how to
That's
spell
it.
that, so I
I
just
guess.
figured I'd Google it.
I just.
Mazagan? Now part of El Jadida. It's a World
There we
Heritage
go.
Site.
Ceuta? Yeah, it would be. And there's a lot of Portuguese architecture as well. If you go there, there's like a mixture, interesting mix of things. Let me see if I can bring some of these things in here as well, so you guys
Ceuta.
can see.
Cool.
Ceuta, yeah.
Autonomous city of Spain on the North African coast, bordered by Morocco. It lies along the boundary between the Mediterranean Sea and the Atlantic Ocean. The coat of arms looks very Portuguese.
Yeah. We held it. It has the Portuguese crown on it.
But now it's controlled by
If you look-
Spain.
Is it?
According
Spain
to
controls.
Wikipedia. I don't know.
I thought it was Morocco. It was all Morocco.
Maybe
Maybe
it's
part
a
of it?
country, Spain. I don't know. It's an autonomous city. I don't know what that means.
Oh,
It was founded by
Moroccan Arabic.
Carthaginians.
so I guess they held on to it, as the Brits did hold on to Gibraltar, which is in Spain as well.
And there's a Phoenician archaeological site from the 7th. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool
The
stuff.
Phoenician. It is. It is a really cool city, by the way.
Sam, you ever
This
been?
part of Spain.
Yeah.
To Morocco, no, but I've seen a lot of people that it's a popular destination of many Portuguese people, and they bring pictures, and they rave about the Portuguese architecture and the mix between certain things. It's cool. It's a cool place.
So, I've had these questions for a long time. Are there actually geese in Portugal?
The normal kind. No, I think geese are everywhere. No,
I don't know. Map of
geese. I mean, I have geese in my home, back at home in the countryside, in the Portuguese countryside. I don't know.
So they exist there now. But
They do, yes. I'm
I
not sure
Google
about
world
wild
map and all I
geese.
see is America. Oh my god, Google is so cooked. And then the
Aren't
first
geese, like,
the first
everywhere?
actual link is Canada goose. Like
Yeah, I mean that's the most widely known, right?
I typed world map of goose habitats. I don't know how you get that wrong.
Let me see. World map geese population. It's just North America. I suppose there's geese and guinea flows. What is this? Geese are found all over the world, but the present goose farming is economically important only in Asia, it says here. In Central Europe, most geese are well adapted to hot climates as long as shade is available and high rainfall regions. especially well suited to aquatic areas and marshlands, and are completely at home in warm, shallow waterways. So they are everywhere. There's just geese everywhere.
I found the map. I don't know what it is a map of, but I found a map.
I'm looking at the tables. Population in selected countries. Okay. Why are we... Listen, Mosh, why are we researching the population of geese around the world? What the hell is... what the
Absolutely
hell is this?
focused. Guys,
Okay.
just to give you an idea, here's a Google Doc. All right, Dave, like, did research. We got topics to discuss. He's done.
Why did I do this?
We're talking about geese.
Just fucking Googling. That looks like a tangent I would go on at 2 a.m. because I couldn't sleep, so I would Google, I don't know, the bombardier beetle. Did you know that the bombardier beetle mixes up 2 chemicals in its abdomen so that it creates like an exothermic reaction, so that it sprays acid to whoever is attacking it?
Well, let's watch it in detail.
Yeah.
It's a Spiro beetle.
Yeah. So I was saying Castello Gace, which is the place where they based the Dragon Stone from Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
It's this beautiful castle-looking thing in an island, kind of connected by this stone bridge. I'll show you, I suppose. And it was basically it was so full of people going up the stairs and down the stairs, and it takes some time to get up there, right? That I saw, I kid you not, at least like 5 or 6 people just fainting, just passing out.
Yeah, that's me when I like have to walk outside to put out the trash. I come in and I'm just like,
yeah, but the real time. So you see these stairs? So this is Dragonstone, right? They just added CGI to the. Let me just open this a bit. They just added CGI to put a castle in here. In reality, what you have at the top, it's like a little chapel thing.
Oh my God, Dave's giant. Giant David.
You put like there's a little chapel and there's like these stairs. But like these little stairs here.
That looks like the Great Wall of China to me.
These little stairs. It takes some time to get up there, and people would be passing out with the heat all along the stairs.
The American in me looks at that and says, "We should put a little like vending machine right there, make billions."
Yeah, no, you would. You probably would, but there's none of that. It was free as well, I believe.
Oh, that's amateurs.
Back then. It was free.
No wonder you guys don't have an empire anymore.
Well, this is not Portuguese. This is in the Basque country. That's what we're talking about.
Well, Spain doesn't have an empire anymore either, so it's same thing. But I guess that was for different
culture
reasons
as well. Yeah, but it's a pretty cool place. If you like food, go to the Basque country. Go to Bilbao or go to.
I would love to. Like I bet the food there is amazing. I've had like...
They have more Michelin stars per capita than anywhere in the world, by the way.
Wow. Well, okay, but to be fair, like Michelin is pretty biased towards Europe and places that you would like go on road trips in Europe, but yes.
Yeah, but you need to understand that this does not look like big... These are not big metropolis? Metropolis? What's the plural
metropolitan.
Of metropolis?
These are not metropolitan areas, or they're not... Or urban.
Yeah, these are not sprawling cities, you know? These are like smaller places, and the cities are big, but they're not big, you know? They're like smaller in scale as well. Yeah. But still, food is at the very core of their values, and people gather together. And Basque cheesecake is famous. It is, yeah. And like they have this culinary school there as well in San Sebastian, which has a wonderful jazz festival as well. It's old as well. One of the oldest jazz festivals in Europe, I think. Good place. Has a culinary school there. Has one of the most number of Michelin star restaurants out of any place in the world per capita. I'm not
That's
talking
crazy.
like in general. I'm talking like per capita.
Yeah.
So they really value their food, as do we, the Portuguese and the
Something
Spanish in general
I've
as well.
found always is like places where they're at the hub of travel, like in the U.S. example of that would be New Orleans, right? And like and fusion of
Right.
cultures, like so places where like multiple different cultures exist or travel through, like different people come through, tend to have the best food because they get like the best of all the worlds and then like it combines,
Yeah.
right? Like I've never been to Hong Kong, but I bet they have amazing restaurants there.
Oh yeah, they do. And completely different cuisines in the same place. Like, and Taiwan is the same. Taiwan is a weird one. The food is amazing, but it mixes like American food. By that I mean the US. It mixes like US food with Japanese, with Korean, with traditional Chinese, with their own flavor of things. So it's kind of a melting pot of food as well at the same time.
So I would love to like. I mean, a lot of Europe just has good food. Maybe England and Germany,
Yeah.
notwithstanding.
It's
even there they have good stuff, but it's like just not as much good stuff as some of the other like. So
they do, but it's a very selective.
Hmm.
It's very select. You need to be very picky to find. You can find good food anywhere. The question is not whether the food is good,
Yeah.
whether you can find good food. The question is, what's the priority of food in the pyramid of values and of the culture, and Britain and is not really known for putting food. I'm gonna say wonderful Indian cuisine.
Yes.
Indian inspired because
Yeah. I mean, I was
adapted it.
gonna say I don't know what you're talking about, Dave, because butter chicken masala is like peak cuisine, and
It's a Scottish invention, by the way. There was a chef in chicken tikka masala. Was invented in Scotland, in Glasgow,
well, you're serious?
by a dude that just came there. Yeah, I'm serious.
Oh,
I'm
that's
100% serious. Let me Google it. Chicken tikka. So chicken tikka does not have the gravy, right? Does not have the velvety gravy sauce that chicken tikka masala has. Chicken tikka is just
Doesn't tikka just
fried
mean
chicken.
pieces? Like it's just grilled. Like
it's just grilled. Yeah, it's just grilled pieces of chicken, right?
yeah.
But then the Brits like their gravy, so they adapted the food and they made chicken tikka masala.
I mean, all I know
which
is
what
like
we know.
butter, garlic, chicken, and whatever is in the sauce. It's like I guess there's some cream. There's
The
some
origins
tomatoes.
of the dish, not certain. But
Oh,
many
you've been fact
sources
checked,
attribute to the
Dave.
Southeast Asian community. No, but there was let me see. Glasgow. There we go. Another claim is that it originates in a restaurant in Glasgow, Scotland. This version recounts how a British Pakistani chef, Ali Ahmed Haslam, proprietor of a restaurant in Glasgow, invented the chicken tikka masala by
Ali Hamid,
improvising
very
a sauce.
Scottish name. Nice try, Scots.
Yeah, but it's in Glasgow. It's in Glasgow. The only place where the accent I cannot decode at times. It's beyond Scottish. It's another level.
Clearly.
Britain conquering the globe for spices using exactly 0 of them. I mean, they use salt.
They use some spices. Oh, come on.
Yeah, they have Nando's here, which is
white people don't use
Portuguese.
spices is a meme that has, I think, outgrown itself. Because it's like, first of all, I think that like a lot of ingredients, if they're good and fresh, don't need a lot of spice. Like spices were created because food would spoil and you would add spices so you don't notice that it tastes rotten. Right? Wasn't that why they were so expensive and valuable? Back in the ancient
in some
times?
cases, not always.
Right.
Not always.
Yeah.
Not always. For instance, Vindaloo cuisine. Are you familiar with?
I've had lamb
Vindaloo.
vindaloo. I don't know if that does that make me familiar.
It's Portuguese.
It is
because it's based on. It is because we used to transport the food with vinegar and garlic, a lot of vinegar and garlic and stuff, and so that became the basis for Vindaloo cuisine.
It's known globally. Okay.
In India.
Vindaloo. is a curry dish from the state of Goa in India. It's known for globally in its British Indian form as a staple curry house. Staple curry houses in Indian restaurants
Yeah.
often. But like the technique used, like the vinegar.
Yeah, and we ruled over Goa, by the way.
A standard
We
element
ruled
of Goan cuisine derived from Portuguese carne de vinadalos, meat in wine and garlic
Vinha de
marinade.
alhos.
Vinadalos.
Alhos means garlic. Garlics. And alho means garlic.
Wine and garlic marinade. I need that. Literally meat
What's
of
the what? Alho. Alho is garlic, yeah. And vinho is wine.
Makes sense. It should meat, marinade, vinegar, and garlic. Okay. So I could just do that. I could just take meat and marinade in what kind? I never know how to use like wine in cooking. But yeah. So
You never used wine in cooking?
No, I never know how to. Like I do when the recipe's
Oh,
like,
you
oh,
don't-
add cooking wine, but like I don't like I understand when to add lime, right? Like
Right.
intuitively. Like I don't know when like
It's
cooking.
just
Yeah.
it's just experience, I think. Like for instance, you would if you were
It's not
making
something I
like
grew up
moule,
with.
like some moule with some sauce, you would add wine to the sauce to get that tanginess. You know, all the types of seafood as well.
Yeah. It's just not in my
I
repertoire.
suppose Portugal is basically a big vineyard from north to south, so we
That makes sense.
we use wine for everything and in a lot of
Literally,
dishes.
like it's everywhere.
Different
So,
wines for different. Yeah.
does
And
that
also
mean
it's a
that most of
coastal
France is like a
country,
butter
so-
farm? Is that why they use butter and everything?
Basically, I'm gonna say this is a hot take, but I don't think I'm not a big fan of French cuisine. I
Is that a hot take?
I realize that it's very-
I would not disagree with you. It's definitely
yeah, but
overrated.
many people are like, oh my god, oh the French cuisine, oh my god, the buttery.
No, like every time
oh,
I've had food at like a nice
like,
French
what the f-
style restaurant, it's
It's-
been like, I'm like, okay.
It's just okay. I think French food is just okay.
Well,
There's
you know what
certain
it is,
regions where they
right?
have
So
good
like
food.
the British were like the peasants to the French like aristocracy for a while. Like relative to them, they were like the French were called. That's why like there's two words for cow meat, right? Like beef is like
Right.
they called it beef to make it sound fancy
Buff.
because because it's like the French. Like
A lot of words in English, by the way. English is just Germanic languages and French in the trench code. Sorry. So it's just it's just disguised. But like a lot of you have to remember that the courts in England were for the longest years. The French was the official language.
right.
So beef comes from buff. But there's a lot of examples that have just French words.
Yeah, it was a marketing strategy. It was to make it seem better than it was to like use French words and because to them like French was fancy. And so I think some of the
Yeah.
current like idolization of French cuisine is because of like the world culture is like dominated by the British
I don't think it's
tradition.
just that. I think it's more a bit more complicated than
Sure,
that.
sure.
I think it's yes, that's the marketing side of it. That's what works marketing wise, right? But it's the solemnity that they put into the process of cooking and technique. So they really went balls deep with like cooking techniques, and they formalized it, and they made whole culinary schools around the idea of formalizing and making it part of the cuisine. Like you have whole treatises on sauces, how to make different sauces and whatnot.
Yeah.
You have whole treatises, you have books and books on sauces, books and books on certain techniques, how to make sous vide, how to make whatever. So it was very much a focus.
Kind of like what
on-
Japan does
on-
with some things, but they just wrote more books and
Yes.
spread it more.
Exactly.
I watched
It's
like
exactly
a 3-hour
that.
documentary on Japanese charcoal making.
But Japan is less. Japan is more traditionalist in that sort of thing, in that they have that model of apprenticeship, whereas I find the French cuisine and the culinary schools and the people that come out of those culinary schools, it's more about, this can be taught, and we can formalize it and you can learn it, and then you will suffer in
It was
a
more
kitchen.
accessible.
Yeah, it was more accessible, but at the same time, you will suffer in a kitchen for, I don't know,
Yeah.
fucking 5 years with a chef just yelling at you every day.
It's like
and
easier to
telling
become
you-
a surgeon and go through residency than it is to become like a head chef. You know, like
Yes, because tradition, because the structure, the tradition, the formality behind the whole process, and I think that's one of the things. The second thing is the clarity. They emphasize, to the detriment of everything else, in my opinion, clarity of flavor. So a clarity of flavor and
it's like a
clarity
purist,
in terms
like
yes,
kind of approach to like
this
this egg needs to be the most egg, and it needs to be like
exactly.
like buttery
Needs to be
egg needs to be,
perfect.
it just needs to be like the perfect, the absolute like penultimate essence of what egg and butter should taste like together in a dish or something, right? Whereas like a lot of
Whereas
other foods, like we were watching like Moroccan cuisine video, and it was like 75 things in a pot boiling together, and it comes out looking amazing and delicious, right? Like 6 different meats and like
let's
onion and garlic together, which is like a no-no in some like cuisines, and it's like,
yeah.
whatever. That the shit tastes good, bro. Just cook
Yeah.
it.
But in Japan is not so much. Japan is more like, you're not gonna make it perfect. You're gonna make it like this. You know, there's a way to do it, and it's not really formalized anywhere. You're gonna learn it from the person that has been doing it the most time, from a master. You know, the master will
Yes.
teach you how to make it.
You will
make
be
it
an apprentice
by
for 35
absorbing.
years, and then you will
Yes.
teach 2 other people, and that's it.
Yeah, you spend like a year just massaging octopuses. just massaging.
This guy's
the
just a
octopus
tentacle
for
chef.
a
Like
year.
that's his. I spilled tea on myself because I was laughing.
Expert, and then when you can graduate from that into the rice station, and then you'll make rice for another year. Can you imagine? Oh my god, I'm joking about
No.
it, but it's exactly like this in
Yeah,
some
no,
places.
I just think people
You're gonna
go a little overboard. Like tasty food is great, and making food taste better through creative use of ingredients is great. But like people have lost the plot a little bit with like how obsessed they are with food.
I think so.
It's like just like I'm not even against like, you know, gastro chemists and whatever and the cool things they do to make like duck flavored foam or like whatever. It's an experience, right? Like that's all fine, or like it's an art, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah,
But like in general,
but it's not the core.
give
of
me
the
some good
experience.
ingredients and cook them well. It's gonna be tasty, and then I'm gonna eat it. I'm gonna shit it out later. It's like, bro, it's food. Like it's just food. It's great while you're eating it, and then it's gone. Like,
Whereas the Portuguese, for instance, and the Spanish, the focus is get the ingredients. I don't know, take some sardines, slam them on a grill with charcoal. You know, the fat from the sardines will be dripping into the coal, the embers. You know, and it's done. You put some olive oil on it, serve it straight up. There's nothing else. For instance,
yeah.
we have complex dishes, but it's all about the ingredients. It's 100% about the ingredients. Whereas in French cuisine, it's 100% about the clarity.
How many times you beat
of
this thing?
flavor and
I'd spend 4 hours beating this, and then putting it in the fridge, and then beating it for another 2 hours, and then doing this to it, and then turning it into that, and then putting it in a
I'm gonna
little
shit it
tube,
later.
and then like squeezing it out in this fashion, and then putting it in the oven, and then sprinkling it with truffle. Just can you stop? Like bro, you spent 12 hours making a thing I'm gonna eat in 10 minutes. Just let it go.
just use AI for food recipes. I've seen some people do that as a joke, but like it's so shit. it's so
I'm
shit.
gonna be
People
a
are losing the
pizzeria.
plot on that as well.
You
yeah.
made Sam very, very hungry with your talk about sardines on charcoal. I've never had this.
Listen.
What's this called?
Just sardines.
You just
Sardines,
grill them. They're just tiny
yeah,
fish,
grilled
and like,
sardines.
do you eat the bones too, or like what do you do?
Yes, we don't eat the bones. We just it falls apart, right? You take the bread. So the key here is you take olive oil, and you take the bread, and you use the bread to rip the sardine apart, just take it apart with the bread and with the olive
So
oil.
like
And
the
just eat it.
central like spinal whatever stays, and then like all the meat falls off the bone.
Yeah, you don't
Okay.
you don't eat that, right? That's
Like I don't know, cause like there's
but we don't debone them.
what is it? There's some sort of like shellfish that in like Cajun cuisine they just eat. They just eat the shell as well with it when they're. I don't know if it was like
Oh, I
that.
don't
Like
know.
it was like it's soft enough that it's fine, but like I don't like it.
I mean, some shrimp, it's like that. But
Yeah.
most people just take the thing off. But
Eat the all. Do you like fish eyes? Do you ever eat fish eyes? Not like a cooking stream.
no. By the way, I'm mostly vegetarian as well. Like 99%
We're
of the
talking
time.
about all this stuff, and you're like, actually, I'm vegetarian.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm mostly vegetarian. What that means is that I don't go out of my way to find meat and fish. It's just sometimes it's nice,
Yeah, like a little
and,
bit. Like it's
that's
that's
just
that's
yeah,
pretty
just a
normal.
tiny
Like
bit.
I think like American food is maybe because there was just so many cows here or something, but like it became a little bit too meat heavy. But like most other cuisines you look at, it's like meat is a garnish or not a garnish, but like it's like the third or fourth most like plentiful element of
Yeah.
the dish. It's not.
Do you think it's like overcompensating for the scarcity that once was in previous generations of that people had of
I
meat?
don't know honestly. It's a cool
Because
thing
in
to
Portugal
dive
it
into.
was. In Portugal, during the dictatorship, the goal was to keep people dumb and poor, right? That's the goal. You want people dumb and poor and to appear happy to the outside world. The dictatorship ended in 75, by the way. And so one of the consequences of that is that a lot of people were farmers, a lot of people were very poor, a lot of people were farmers, and like eating a sardine was like a monthly event,
Ah, it was like,
would
oh,
be
boys, tonight we're doing. It's like instead of
we're
like
sharing a sardine. It would be
we're
like that.
sharing a
We're
sardine.
sharing a sardine.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not even kidding. My grandparents went through this, so this was common. Everything else was just veggies, right? Meat as well. They would have chickens, they would have other things, but like, it was very much. We would preserve the meat of pigs and things like that. That's why we have so many types of smoked sausages, presunto, or in case of the Spanish prosciutto.
True. Like in the history of food, a lot of like it is just about preserving and reusing and being economical with food, and like so many good dishes come out of that. Right?
Yeah. So we have a lot of sausages, smoked sausages, what they call blood pudding, which is just blood sausage. We had a lot of smoked food, but that was just
we're just making chat
eating
hungry.
meat.
It's
Yeah, that's the goal. That's our goal today. I guess fuck the topics I researched for this. Yeah. So the goal was is to get you guys hungry.
Well,
so we
Lanter
had a
says,
lot of
personally, I think
that.
today it's most of the Europe and the like try to be more aware of the consequences of meat, both on health and environment, where that is not quite a thing in the U.S. It's a thing in the U.S. too. Like it's just it varies. Like it's not the thing in Texas, well, like in Washington or California, that's very much the thing, right? Like
We also
and like
don't allow
consumers
for
are
industrialization.
are showing like I mean look at like Beyond Meat or whatever and like their stock price and their growth, right? Like there's clearly like those are American things, right? They're not. This isn't. America's just very big. Like it's like all of Europe, and it's very hard to generalize. We make fun of it or whatever, but most of the output of U.S. like economy is in like high population areas, and high population areas are a lot closer to European culture than like stereotypical Fox News, Kona land, whatever.
The other thing is, I think there's another thing. There's no such thing as European culture. It's very thin.
It's all semantics, right?
Think,
like it's,
it's
we
very
just
thin.
bundled a bunch of countries together and called them Europe, and even those countries are bundles of different ethnicities and groups and tribes and cultures.
That's why sometimes the people come here from the US and people get pissed off because it's not just saying it's not that you're insulting their country's identity or something. It's insulting of so many things, because it's like you go to another country right besides, I don't know, if you are in France and you cross and you are in I don't know, Switzerland, it's like night and day. It's insane. You go to the Balkans, completely different culture.
You all look alike to me, man.
Nothing to do. You go to, like, I don't know, UK, even within the UK, like one thing is London.
I'm sure you can say that about India too, right? Like,
yes.
So that's just a human thing. Like, our minds put
less
things in buckets.
things
Next to each other get put in the same bucket, and then we generalize because it's like an optimization that your brain does.
Yeah,
and it ends up having some
what that is, though.
What's that?
I think the generalization. I'm not quite sure what that looks like for us, though, because it's like, I understand the generalization, but then it's usually it's fun to think of these things as the memes really solidified what we think of these, like, preconceptions about places. Like, I don't know, people look at Europe and they think, oh, everyone disappears in August, there's no one working.
They do that?
And it's literally true. Yeah,
that's cool.
And
man.
so there's all these memes about I have brain surgery at 12, but we can schedule the meeting for 5 p.m. This is like the US, right? And you go to Europe and it's like, oh, I'm sorry, it's the 735th anniversary of my local cheese shop, so I can't make it today. It's that sort of situation.
So
it all comes from memes. I don't know.
Dave, while we were talking about this, I was like in WoW, I was just standing on a signpost, and I'll be getting messages from people, like people walk by and they're cheering me on, and this guy was like, "Thank you, Mr. Undead, for showing me the way. Loktar, brother." And I sent him an 07, and he's like, "I love you, bro."
Did you point?
Yeah, no, I wasn't even paying attention. I'm just standing here, and he's just like, he just thinks this is what I do. Like, I log in and I stand on the side and show people the way.
There's some people that do that. They really love their role play role, and that's what they do. I saw once a dude that made a troll. You know that initial area for the dwarves where there's a bunch of ice trolls and near caves and stuff? And like, there was a guy that made a troll, made it to match like the ice trolls that were roaming around, made his name to match the actual mobs, and then he would wait for people to stop by and attack him so he could kill them.
Oh man, that's good content. Actually, I should do that.
It would also just walk very slowly, like pretending he was an NPC, and trying to, okay, be cool, dude, be random. They can't notice that you're different. You're part of the group. One of us. And it's just walking very slowly amongst the trolls, pretending he had those random patterns that NPCs often have, the mobs often have. And people are just, doing the farming the trolls, killing one troll, killing the other troll, and then they would attack him. And they were like, all right.
So for anyone who doesn't know, in the starting area in WoW, like, you can't get attacked by the opposing faction. But if you attack somebody else, they can attack you back. So that's why people go and do that.
Yeah.
So we gotta talk about
background.
We gotta talk about current events.
Yeah,
yeah. I don't know if you saw. Speaking of like American culture, in Oklahoma, people are attacking weather radars because we're having like extreme weather, and they think the government is controlling the weather to make Donald Trump look bad. I'm not kidding.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way. I thought it was just the chemtrails thing. Ain't no way.
Look, no, they think there's like Jewish space lasers controlling the flooding in Texas. Okay, like this is what they think.
Oh my God!
Oklahoma City television station News 9 is reporting an anti-government militia group targeted its weather radar systems.
Oh my God!
There's video footage showing an individual damaging their next. Like, I used to watch, like when I lived in Oklahoma, I used to watch this channel. They had a really good like anchor during tornadoes and stuff.
Ain't no fucking way. So this is a thing.
Yup.
News 9 radar damage in apartment attack by anti-government militia group.
Yup.
News station 9 is reporting an anti-government militia group targeting his weather radar system. Ain't no way. But wait, anti-government?
Yep.
But so they want to make Donald Trump look
No, Donald Trump's
look
not the
bad.
government. Don't you understand? The president of the United States
I
is not the
see.
government.
Oh my god.
The government
the
is
government,
the
it's just a
global
meme.
Jewish conspiracy or whatever. Like,
Oh my god. What the fuck is wrong with you guys? Early this
and
week. Oh my god.
and they attack the radar of a news station. Like, I can't.
Erica goes, a NOAA public affairs specialist and meteorologist said in an email that the agency is aware of threats against the next generation weather radar sites and is working with authorities to monitor the situation. Houston Hunt, vice president of marketing of Griffin Media, which is the parent company of News 9, said in an email the company works to ensure there's no service interruptions as people depend on the radars. Like, how do you know the thing? How do you know? How do you get news about the weather if you don't?
But you're like overthinking this. Okay, these guys are called veterans on patrol, and they're going around attacking all the radars. Specifically Doppler radars, and they think that like these are mind control devices. I can't. Like,
what the hell is wrong? I thought that they passed that bill where to ban chemtrails as well, which is a bit curious to me because it's like it doesn't hurt anyone because it doesn't exist, right? It doesn't. It's not. If you're not doing something and you ban,
this is very like late Roman, mob period. Like if you, a channel I really like is on YouTube. It's called Historia Civilis, and it's like a historian or somebody. He talks about like various battles throughout like Rome's history, but there's also like society and government and whatever, and it's like that, but stupider. It's like this guy would get a mob to go attack the supporters of that guy and like threaten to like, but it's like devolving. It's performative, rabble rousing, and then the rabble that you rouse takes over, and now that rabble is in charge, and then they believe their own rabble rousing, and it's just this crazy, like it's just
like the whole QAnon thing, right? Where people just devolved into, oh yeah, they're drinking the blood of children. And you're like, what is going on, my brother? What are you?
Yeah, when you have an uneducated populace, right? Because like the economic hollowing out of America over the last like few decades, right, since the 80s, the hollowing of the middle class, the evaporation of like manufacturing, all these things has led to a big part of the country becoming like service workers and like minimum wage workers, or like asset owners who just profit from capital, right? Whether like they invest that capital in like energy, like oil and gas extraction or whatever, or they deploy it in other like finance and insurance and franchise ownership or whatever. But like it's this stratification where there's not this like middle class that's like can afford to send their kids to good schools and also like buy nutritious food. What schools? Yeah, like so. And as these like communities have like lost any financial like prosperity,
social mobility, as well, any hopes of having any sorts of
and they just see their like
social mobility,
their relatives like just suffer from illnesses, and they're all just miserable, and it's like and a lot of them still watch TV and like or listen to talk show hosts on radio or now podcasts and whatever. Like this stuff has just kind of been, those people have been susceptible to exploitation because like obviously like fear and crazy stories are more engaging, right? That plus social media.
It's because people are also, I was reading something today that kids cannot read at the basic level now in the US. Like almost half the kids like 9-year-olds cannot read at the basic level.
Yeah,
And that's,
yeah, we've severely
that's
neglected
worrying.
our infrastructure over the the recent times or whatever. But like this group is susceptible to being rabble roused, and people did it for money and like for political gain. But now it's like it kind of got a life of its own, and people like Donald Trump came along and like tapped into it because he's a salesman. He knows what people want to hear, and he sees what gets applause, and he just says what people. He also
It's
happens
almost
to
like
be
a subculture. It's kind of
exactly,
weird,
and then
because
like
it's almost like a subculture that exists in itself and
yes,
sustains itself now. It's
yes,
not
and
just,
all the educated
it's not
people and
just
all the
like the
people who have
media
corporate jobs and all the people that like work like at all these like information economy companies, like they're all like they have very little connection to that. Like they interact with their racist uncle at Thanksgiving, but then they go back to like where they live, and they do work their jobs and like generate value for the economy and like pay their taxes and all. Like they're not the ones, but then like they're the liberal elite because like they're rich and they're better off, or they have purpose, and that creates resentment. And then when those people come and tell like the inbreds like, yo, you can't
oh my god,
you like you can't be racist, or you can't be like hateful
like,
against trans people, whatever.
Fuck you, I can't. You're the evil one. I'm the one in the right. Fuck you, because
yeah, it all gets
they don't have
conflated.
anything left. That's the thing.
So instead of being mad at like the 1% or the people exploiting them, they end up being mad at like the woke elite or whatever they think. And it's a useful strategy because in the US there was a war between the corporatists and the oligarchs, and the oligarchs won, and now they're dismantling the country piece by piece so that they can set up toll booths at every juncture and collect their rent, and without having to actually generate value for the economy. Like that's literally like the last 50 years of this country summarized. There you go. So
and yeah, but that strategy has been applied here as well, to the point that you hear people talking about oh, but those immigrants come here and they have like these subsidies, they have like below minimum wage like aid, and you're like, even if that's true, which is not, because you go to the social security agencies and you look at the statistics, right? You look, okay, out of the people that came here, the immigrants, what is like the are they contributing more, or are they taking more out of the pool, right?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be true. It just has to be said. Like you just say something enough times, it gains the air of truthiness, and then it.
Yeah.
Like even if you start arguing against it,
politicians,
it's still you're having a conversation about it.
These politicians go on national TV in Portugal, in the UK, everywhere. It's insane. I see it everywhere. Portugal now has like a uber radical party, which is the second strongest political party out of nowhere, and they have zero policies, by the way. Zero policies.
Yeah,
their policies are
they're just rage
complaining
bait.
about immigrants.
Party. Like
exactly. They're nothing. There's nothing. There's no policies. They yell a lot about immigrants. They yell about a lot about, oh, our cities are lost because look at these guys are praying with their asses in the air. Davy's a ventriloquist. They complain a lot about, oh, these guys have subsidies and the Portuguese ones do not. There was one in Parliament, in the Portuguese Parliament this past week, that came out and said like a list of names, which were names of immigrant kids, right? Kids of immigrants that were in Portuguese schools, in public schools. And they went and said something like, oh, see, look at all these names. They're taking the slots that could be for Portuguese children. That sort of rhetoric. So they have zero, there's no policy there. There's no suggestions, there's no nothing. The suggestion is, let's give more money to the police. Let's deport everyone, which sounds familiar, doesn't it? Yep. Let's give more money to the police, deport everyone. Gypsies is a thing here. It's
your Mexicans,
gypsies are it's my punching. It's our punching bag. Yeah, gypsies are responsible for everything and anything, and we give them houses, and the Portuguese people don't have houses, and whatnot. Sexual offenders should be chemically castrated immediately. That sort of shit. Bring back the capital punishment.
Yeah, because
Bring back
if
the
you say
fucking...
no, like they're still like, oh, you're pro-sexual predators, and if you say
Yeah, that's the
like you
thing.
need to change the
You can't
subject, and
win.
it's like if the media covers it and asks you about it, it's like it's all it's a effective.
But
It's always easier to troll a conversation than not if the viewers don't recognize when you're trolling or arguing in bad faith, and that's the issue. It's like fundamentally, as long, like if people don't
recognize that
Yeah.
even if that was all true, even if we had even if we were giving all these people that they say they're insane, but even if we were giving all these people all these
it would still be
subsidies,
correct because it's still cheaper to do it than
it's
not.
still cheaper in comparison to looking at the fucking billionaire evading all the taxes and then some, and then look at how much they are stealing from the pool, if we're making that argument.
But that's the
look
point, right? Like that's the
yeah,
end
but
goal.
people are like, no, but it's the poor Pakistani in the farm, you know? That's the one that's responsible for the fucking economy tanking and whatnot. No, dude, it's the guy that owns the supermarket chains that changed the headquarters to the Netherlands because it's a fiscal, you know, it's a fiscal paradise. It's completely tax exempt from anything.
Yeah,
It's a safe haven, right? What's the name for it? It's a fucking
yeah.
not a
It's
fiscal
crazy how
paradise.
effective
There's another name.
scapegoatism has become through our history. That's really all. That's what
Yeah,
it
but
is.
like it's that guy.
It's divide
they
and
go
conquer,
like, oh,
right?
no,
It's like, hey,
yeah,
you. It's like it's so and so's fault, and then so and so. It's this like.
Uh,
I mean, there's
UK,
people
same
and
thing.
politicians in the U.S. at least that I see that are like trying very hard to talk about that and make that the thing, and it's like, hey, I'm not your enemy. The billionaires are your enemy, right?
Yeah.
They're trying to make it about race, but it's really about class. Like just like
It is,
debating.
but people, that's another thing. People do not know what class is. They think they do, and they think they are they think they are middle class, right?
Well,
but they are
it's
not.
gotten better here,
Show
right?
me-
Like Bernie
your
talking about the
asset,
1%
then.
or the billionaires, like this constant like you just got to keep like this constant reiteration of like, no, this is what it's about. It builds awareness. Like it just takes time, and you got to
It
keep
takes a
hammering
lot of
it,
time,
and
and it can destroy it faster than it
seeps
can build
into
it.
the collective consciousness, right? Because like
Yeah.
20 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to have some of these conversations with people and have them be like nodding their head. But like I feel like more people are aware of it. I mean, of course, it's gotten worse, and that's part of it, right? But like, still, it was a lot harder 20 years ago to explain to people that no, it's like manufacturing consent, and these people are controlling the media, and like there's a robbery going on, and
People don't understand that because they don't understand their own circumstances. That's how you get people to vote against their own self-interest, because you have this illusion that if I vote for this guy, he's going to make more opportunities for me to, you know, he's going to give me more.
It's just more they're angry, and there's a guy saying I'm also angry, and they just like they're unhappy, and there's a guy saying I'm unhappy, and that's all it is. Like it's not any deeper than that. Educated people struggle with this a lot, in my opinion, where they see this idea of like, oh, why are they voting against their own self-interest? These guys are on welfare. Why are they voting against the? It's not like it doesn't go that far, bro.
They're not.
They're in pain.
They're not dumb,
and they're lost.
That's the other thing.
And they're mad.
They're not dumb.
And this guy is saying I'm mad too, and it's not. Yeah. It's I'm gonna make the people whose fault it is suffer, and they some of them like realize it's not those people's fault, and some of them don't. But what they all realize is that someone's gonna suffer, and they're suffering, so they would like other people. Like they don't want to be the only ones suffering anymore, and that's essentially like what it comes down to. That's
why I'm hopeful for things like, I don't know, in your case, Zoran Mandani, for instance. I'm hopeful that it serves as a beacon of what's going on, you know, because despite everything, despite the incredible Islamophobia, the things that they did to him,
the reason his stuff works is he literally got up there and was like, let's make people's lives better, and like actually is doing that, right? Like
He's been doing it, yeah. And the other guy goes like, "Oh, it's very inexperienced." He passed more,
Yeah,
he did
Dave,
more
you
good
gotta
things
stop
in the
doing that.
15
You
minutes.
gotta stop when someone gives you a bad faith argument. Okay, like no one's saying that thinks that guy who's been on city councils and whatnot and like has all this government experience is actually inexperienced. What they're saying is that guy is not smart enough. He's not smarter than you because he's brown. Okay, it's just dog
Basically.
whistle. Like, so
Yeah,
you
basically.
so when they say he's not smart enough and you go there and you're like, no, he is. Here's all his experience. Here's all his credentials. He's accomplished. You lose. You have already lost the plot. Because what are you doing? You are debating whether this guy is qualified, which was never like an issue. Like the second you discuss whether or not you beat your wife and murder puppies, even if you have
it's like
incontrovertible proofs that all those things are lies, you're now having a discussion about why does Dave beat his wife? Is Dave a wife
The
beater?
point is, the second someone calls you Billy the Goat Fucker, you will be, and you try to, oh no, I don't fuck.
Exactly. So don't debate these people on the merits. It's a distraction. When they talk about the goat fucking, just be like your mom. It's like why are you calling your mom a goat, bro? Like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. I don't have the answer.
You can't engage it all. And I think he does that. He does that very well, which is he keeps hammering on the points that brought him there, which is, for instance, what's the first foreign visit of the mayor of New York? And he goes like, I'm gonna stay here and do my job. And they keep, oh, are you against Israel? And they go like, I'm pro New Yorkers.
Yeah, I'm running for mayor of New York. I want to make buses free.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, I want to make it cheaper for people to use public transportation. And I wanted to make it cheaper to live here. Like, it's too expensive to live here. I'm going to make it cheaper to live here. And here's how I'm going to do that. Right.
Yeah.
So on in the US, on the left, there is a growing like power base. Like from like these are Bernie acolytes, right? AOC used to like work in Bernie's campaign. They're allies. They work together. But it's a whole new generation of politicians who like understand that you don't defeat like Trumpo-fascism by like clinging to, oh, he's violated this norm, and like why doesn't the news media call him out when he's lying and all this shit. You address the core of the problem, which is that people are unhappy because they're being unfairly treated, and you talk about that.
Yeah.
And like then they have a choice between, hey, these are two groups that both of them are talking about like the stuff that's wrong. One side wants to deport my neighbor, and the other side wants to make buses free. Like it's
and wants to lower my rent.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay,
yes.
That's exactly what I think he's doing right, and I hope that it for you guys. I'm not there, right? But I hope for you guys that it serves as a beacon for other political
yes, I'm hopeful on
too.
that front. The thing I'm absolutely not hopeful about is like the fucking planet is cooked. So by the time we work through this and sort this shit out, which we will, like if it comes down to revolution and going in the streets, we will. Because fundamentally, America, like the vast majority of America, is not like this. Like polls show like 85% of people are against like this deportation and stuff that they're. It's like, and this is with like the news media and all the race media.
It's the structures of power. It's
right?
the structures
like the billionaires
of power
are pushing this other agenda, and yet still like the vast majority of people are against it when you ask them directly the questions. So like as a country, as a people, America's going to be fine. The problem is in the 15 to 20 whatever years it's going to take for this shit to get sorted out, we will have gone past the point of no return and the planet is fucked, and we fucked it. So
and you guys are taking us with you in many aspects as well.
Like the whole
I have this suspicion that the goal I have this suspicion that the people around Trump are not that when you talk about tariffs and talk about that sort of stuff.
Tariffs is just his thing.
They know what they're doing. Trump does it. Trump is just, Mr. Orange Man himself.
There's lots of opportunists for sure. Like Dave Navarro's like had his whole
but
like
the guys
thing.
around him know what they're doing, and my suspicion, I might be wrong, and I hope I'm wrong. My suspicion is that they want to devalue the dollar. and they wanna make so that
I mean, they've said so. That's public.
yeah, but they wanna really, you know, go near the bankruptcy situation. They wanna pull the Trump in that they go like, debt? What debt? You know,
So
they
they
want
want
to
to just
restart.
completely like blow up the economy, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and the situation will be
Yeah,
so
well,
that
that's the kind of situation that oligarchs want, right? Like,
yeah,
they
I'm
want
sure
chaos. Like corporatists, like want stability. They don't like tariffs. They want global trade. They want outsourcing. They want to know what the hell is going to happen so they can plan their investments around it. Oligarchs want to like burn down one town so that they can then buy the land and sell it for like 10,000 times, right? Like
yeah. But I think the plan is a bit more devious. They want to devalue the dollar so that they can keep the hegemonic power of the dollar in the global markets.
But they're bad at that. Like they're
that's the issue. I don't think it's gonna work, and I think it's gonna pull every single one into a global recession, and it's gonna impact many things. Even China doesn't want that to happen because China loves to trade. China wants nothing more than to trade with everyone. They want to trade max as much as they can, right? So that's why they're interfering in the
channel on
conflicts
YouTube
as well.
called Predictive History. It's a history professor who like educated America, but he's Chinese and he's like gives lecture like leads an institute of like trying to foster creativity and critical thinking in China or whatever, right? But he's like, so like he predicted all the Iran stuff, the Israel Iran stuff like a year ago. He's like, this is what's going to happen. Here's why. And he looks at everything from a like game theory lens. And one of his like theories is that like that a lot of this stuff is actually like you have to look at who benefits and like how much Russia's benefiting from all this. And it's honestly it's a little too depressing and heavy for this podcast, I think. But I'll send you some links, you can check it out. I wanna like it's fun to make fun of the crazies, but I don't want us to become like too disparaging, I think. I don't know how you feel about it, but
I feel like if we don't laugh about it, about the dark shit, then we're truly cooked. That's the only function of humor, in my opinion. We're truly cooked if we don't, you know. I see
it's
a lot
a
of
good way to
people
deal
know
with
this is
absurdity.
so,
Yes.
so sensitive. Is a very sensitive subject, and we came to this fucked up timeline where no one is willing to engage in any subject, and then I turn on YouTube and there's fucking, I don't know, 10 minutes of ads on YouTube, legal apparently, of Israel propaganda, and then people just eat it because they don't discuss anything. They just eat whatever they're fed. And you know, if we don't laugh about it, what the hell are we supposed to do? But there's an interesting thing about humor and depressive things, where there was I don't know if you're familiar with what Charlie Chaplin did.
Which thing specifically he did stuff like the Hitler
great
thing that he did.
Emperor, yeah, the great emperor. So
well, some people didn't get the critique. Joke.
Well, but like Chaplin had this way of introducing humor into solemnity, right? Into solemnity being the performance of seriousness,
right?
And when you do that, you expose the absurdities.
Yes.
You look at it and you go like, this is absurd, because you laugh at it and you suddenly realize, okay, this is, you know, it's everyone can look at it.
It's very valuable from an evolutionary perspective to have that where you show how ridiculous something is. Like I think that's the function of humor. Sometimes like you don't realize how absurd something is until like you hear George Carlin talk about it or Stephen Colbert or whatever. Like, yeah, there's a great tradition of like using satire and humor to expose like absurdity for sure.
That is usually my take on it. I like to talk about serious things, dark things, very serious things, but at the same time we make fun of absurdities, and I think that's healthy. That's more healthy than going like, no, this stream it's gaming only, happy. Let's go. You know, it depends on the mood as well. But like I think it's important.
There's stuff that
people...
we can like. I think there's things where it's like.
I'm talking in general. When I go to a place, and you pull up, you talk about the subject organically. You know, you don't go there and go like, "Did you vote for Trump?" You know, that's not what I'm talking about. Talking about people are talking about subjects. The subjects are serious, and you know, you go on this tangent, but then you touch on very sensitive points, and people go like, "That's it." At least over the internet, you see this a lot. That's it. No. This stream is, you know, let's talk about
Well,
gaming, happy things only.
I don't know. I
Because
probably
this is
feel a
too
little
distracting.
differently about that, because to me there's this contract when you tune into something, and there's an expectation and an understanding, and like people, when they tune into like a Gwent stream, they want to see Gwent gameplay, and if you do something else, you've kind of violated that expectation a little bit, right? And it's fine if like you want to change and you want to say that you want to change or whatever, or like the occasional like thing is fine, as long as it's not, because like
Yeah, but what I'm saying, expectation is not built on a single data point. That's what I'm saying. And sometimes that derails into, you know, you need to build expectation over time. If
sometimes I'm in bed, like I wanted to like just like watch something, you know, not important while I distract myself before I like try to relax and fall asleep. And this guy was talking about like the Israel and Iran bombing stuff, and then he said something that just like triggered me, and I'm just like I'm just not like I try to engage, because I was like this guy's not completely like stupid, and I try to give him some info, and then it was like he was just being like very what do you mean, bro? Like it's cooked, like just very like flippant about it, and I was like, well,
nonchalant.
Yeah,
about
like it's just fun,
yeah.
you know, that like this thing is just fun, like it's content or whatever, like it.
Yeah.
And I was like,
fuck yeah, bombings, fuck yeah, carpet bombings.
Yeah, like not happy about it, but like just like
no.
jaded and you know, like I'm too cool to care, kind of. Like obviously, like what are you, like a child? Like of course we're gonna be doing murder and genocide, like unite, like and I just, you know, I'm just like you know what, unfollow. Like I just don't want
what I'm
that
getting
thought.
at.
Like I saw myself getting worked up about it, and I'm like, I just don't need that in my life. And I think that certain things, like the fate of the planet, over which I have absolutely no control over, and also I firmly believe zero influence over the outcome. Like even if I do all the things that I like, I'll do those things that I think are like my responsibility and my positive impact and contribution. But I don't think it's gonna in any way, shape, or form move the needle. Like mathematically speaking, it's just not.
Yeah, but that's not the point. The point is to.
But it's gonna depress the shit out of me and make me worse at other things. So I'm just gonna avoid it, right? Whereas like like things like okay, what is the impact of AI on creator economy, or like is this fair or not? Like philosophical things that we can like reasonably debate and discuss and disagree on, to me are a lot more interesting than global warming, I guess. Does that make sense? Like
it does, but it goes. I was going to finish the point with this, which is humor has its place, right? But the thing that we're seeing more and more is that nonchalant attitude that you were just describing. Mm-hmm. You were seeing that. You're seeing that in official government communication, where the government will put out memes about deportations, for instance. The US government, for instance, will put out memes about deportation with just meme fun songs. Right? Look at us. We're deporting so many. Let's go, America. And it's obviously ridiculous, and it's not funny.
Well, it's grotesque, right? But it's
yes. But because they put it in that's the point I was going to make. But because they did it, you can no longer pull a Charlie Chaplin, the Great Emperor, because you cannot. The solemnity was broken already, and they did it so many times in so many cases that people became desensitized to it, and so humor. That we are in this dangerous position.
You can you know, by being callous about it, you cross the line, so people can't point out that you've crossed the line, kind of.
Exactly. There's no point in doing that because you did that yourself. So you ruin
Like,
the
yeah, it's the
humor
cruelty is the
possibilities.
point kind of thing. Like, you can no longer accuse them of being
Yeah.
cruel when they're like openly admitting that they want to be cruel.
Exactly.
They've moved the
And so
goalposts past the points of
you
decency.
completely where humor, if you want to make humor and you want to make fun and expose absurdities, you point at, you know, the incoherent things, and you create this this difference between expectations of people and then the total absurd reality of something. But if they do that themselves, you can't joke about it, and so we're worst off. This is a new thing. I've never seen it before. The fucking having governments making memes about horrendous things that are happening, but it's a new thing and it worries me because, you know, there's one less thing you can't. What's funny about that? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's funny? What do we laugh at? What are we laughing at if they go like, yeah, that's
if
the
they
point.
start joking, like when they're joking about genocide, it makes it a lot harder to.
Yeah, that's another one. If you're bombarded with the Israeli memes nonstop about how they're blowing up houses in Gaza, like where's the fun? Where's the funny part? You know, how the hell are you supposed to put humor in the middle of this? Like I still respect that some comedians
I don't have an
try
answer
to.
on that one.
For instance,
And that's another one where
how
it's
the
like
hell-
I have absolutely powerless to do anything about it or contribute anything to the subject. I just avoid that one. Also, like it's
I like how Bill Burr puts it, where he says something like, "It's 2025. How the fuck is socially acceptable to shoot missiles in the general direction of people you're upset with?" and and then you go,
yeah.
and then when you do bad things, they go like, "Oh, but they are human shields. You gotta work around that." If your neighbor is holding a baby and you're upset at him, you're not gonna punch him or roundhouse kick him through the baby. You know, do you know what I mean? You're not gonna. That's the
I
thing.
mean, you're not, but when
Yeah, but when governments make memes about that, they take that option of exposing that ridicule
what
out
are,
of.
I mean,
out of the program.
I hate to ask, but like, where are these? I've never seen any of this, but that's crazy. Like,
Oh, what else? The tweeters and truth socials of this life.
I have
It's
just,
just
you know, I just honestly, like, I just filter all that stuff out now. It just makes me mad. So
yeah.
I don't
Well,
need it in my life. So let's talk about something else. All right. So
for instance, we have the whole debacle. I woke up. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I woke up yesterday, and Musk was trying his best to create his new digital boyfriend, Mecha Hitler.
I
Have you seen
saw
that one?
that. Yeah. So okay. All right.
Oh my god.
So I'm not probably as up to date on it. I'll tell you what I know, and then you tell me like what I'm missing from the story. So as I understand it, Grok was like fact checking people too much and like giving like making conservatives look bad. People were asking it questions like, "Who's responsible for more violence in
Yeah.
in the U.S.?" And it's like the left wing or the right wing, and it was like the right wing, according to all the data by an overwhelming margin. The right wings are the violent ones, and then people were like doing at Elon like, "What is this?" And he's like, "Yeah, no, this is because it's trained on the media and the media is biased and all this stuff."
Yeah.
And he's like, "I'll fix it." And I guess he like went and did some stuff or told people to do some stuff in reality. And then it just went completely fucking nutso.
It's insane. We covered it yesterday on stream. I was looking at some excerpts from Grok, the chatbot from Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. I'll call it Twitter forever, just because I'm petty.
Fine.
So Grok went on to not only call himself Mecha Hitler, and saying that it's clearly, look at the violent left. And there was an account, by the way, called something Steinberg, clearly a Jewish surname, right? And it goes like, "Oh, look at this. This person was calling out for the death of, children, Christian children in the Texas floods, because, and calling them future fascists. This is true evil. and it's always the same surnames. It's always the same
Yeah,
types of surnames.
that's a
I'm noticing, I'm not racist, I'm noticing patterns. And I'm like, dude, that's what racist is. It's just looking at things and saying they're all the same.
yeah. He
And
literally
then,
just told it to be more right wing and conservative, and the thing is, right wings people and conservatives are racist pieces of shit, and so Grok is now a
they're
racist piece of
insane.
shit. Like that's just
I don't know
the
how.
like this isn't a political
I don't-
statement. This is an observation of fact. They're just pieces of shit.
yeah, but the funny part is
And if sorry,
the
just one more
account.
thing. And if you're a conservative listening right now, consider you're conservative because you're into like small government or some garbage you swallowed because some billionaire made you think that like that was edgy. Like, understand that A, you're not, and B, that that's not what that's about, and C, like you're in bed with fucking fascists. Fucking stop right now, walk away,
No, Mosh, there's a better way to say that. A better way to say that is
eat shit and
small
die.
government equals small pee-pee.
Yes.
Small government equals small pee-pee.
Oh my god. It's like
There's
stop
nothing
repeating
as
talking
effective.
points by people who wanted to dodge taxes. Like this idea of small government, like it's a myth by people who just didn't want to pay their fair share of taxes, and they made you
And they
think
don't.
like that by literally like defunding the roads that they were like freeing you of oppression. But like that's not, they don't want to pay for the roads and the infrastructure and the electricity and the internet that we all use, and they don't want to have to not shit in the water supply and poison the air. And so that's the part of government they don't like. They're perfectly fine with the part of government that like spends billions on like pork contracts for them and their friends. They have no problem with any
Yeah.
of that, which is why
Not
any graph of like
notably
the U.S. budget
Elon
and the
Musk, for
deficit.
instance.
Sorry, go ahead.
Elon Musk is against all the spending in the new beautiful bill, right? But is very much against the fact that they terminated with the EV mandates, which were funding his company. It was pretty much
Yeah,
all
that's
the
what that whole
funding
thing
for
is
his
about.
company.
Like one
Yeah,
side
that's
of
the-
Trump's backers won over the other like group of Trump's backers, and that's what that fight's about. Like it's literally like a bunch of billionaires who like wanted Trump to create a slush fund one direction, are having an argument with a bunch of billionaires who wanted a slush fund in the other direction. And so that's what all
But you want to know the funny part about that whole Grok thing? So Grok goes on to say, oh, it's always the same surnames, implying that Jewish people. And then people are like, what do you mean the same surnames? Oh, I'm not racist. I'm just noticing patterns that the Jewish are, mostly leftists, radical leftists, and prone to violence. The funny part is that the something Steinberg account that Grok was criticizing and calling out was created by a neo-Nazi. So it was a fake account created by a neo-Nazi pretending it was a Jewish woman calling for the death of Christian children in the Texas floods. And Grok... so the plot thickens. Grok was being a racist, anti-Semitic piece of shit towards a fake account created by a neo-Nazi piece of shit.
lovely.
So, and calling himself
get me out of
Mecha
this
Hitler.
reality, bro. Like what in that like
Dude, if noticing and there's the creme de la creme, the cherry on top. It says something like, if noticing patterns of violent people or opposing violent people is not woke enough for you or something, then pass the stash, as in pass me the Hitler mustache.
how did it
Pass the stash, bro.
like
What the
how
fuck
did
are they
how did this
doing?
happen? Like what's the, is there a fascism slider that you can adjust? Like I don't understand.
So I was discussing this. Usually, the way when you create these things, I'm very much against making chatbots that interact with people directly, because they mislead people into. By the way, anyone that doesn't know, I do AI research. That's what I do for a living, and I work with language models, precisely this kind of technology. But I'm very much against productizing these sort of things, because when you make a language model, we are very biased. We people, humans, are very biased towards language, because we look at language. It's like the guys that see Jesus facing the toasts every time. Do you know what I mean? We are biologically programmed to look at language and assume it comes from a person. That's how it works.
Yeah.
So I'm very much against that. So
And
people confuse
the UI is like deceptive because it pretends to be a human,
Yes.
so you treat it like a human, but it's not a human.
And you make assumptions, false assumptions, about things, capabilities that it doesn't have. For instance, people assume that it's factual. It cannot be by design. It cannot be. It's impossible, 100% impossible to be factual. If it's
Can you explain
factual,
what that
it's
means?
by accident. Yes. Factuality, or something being true and verifying that, it's not a scientific problem. It is a trust problem. You cannot look at language and say this is true and this is false. That's bullshit. You cannot look at a sentence and say this is without any context, right? If you don't know a language, for instance,
the only way you know if a fact that you saw is true is by like verifying the source of the fact, right?
Yes,
and it's not the wording of the sentence that tells you, it's the who's saying the sentence.
It's not the content. The content can never be factual. That's one thing.
So can these large language models not like famously, like the innovation behind Google search was PageRank, which established authoritative value to pages based on how many other humans linked to it and said this is the correct source of like this information, this specific information.
Exactly.
Right. So it
mind
measured
you,
trust
mind
through
you that,
human trust.
Yes, and it's a best guess as well, by the way. And
Right,
it's a best guess. It works. It works
Right,
really
can be
well.
gamed.
But it works really well because at the end of the day, what they're doing is just finding you things that you're looking for. But you, as the user, are the one that are going to. You are the one clicking on the pages and checking out the pages, and then you click on a page and go like, okay, this is it. This is what I'm looking for, right? But you are the one that if you click on a BBC page, you know what the organization is. You might trust it, you might not. For instance, if you click on the New York Times page, right? It's a trust problem. You establish. That's why we have journalism.
How can AI handle that? Like, is there a way?
It can't. It can't. It can never do it in the way that we have.
Well, can't it like compile like so? I can ask ChatGPT to say something like, hey, do some research and tell me like from like survey the published like scientific articles on the subject and tell me if there's a link between fascism and small penis, right? Like,
yeah. What I'm saying is that the result is not semantic in the sense that when it compiles and it reports back to you, it doesn't report back to you because it understood the assignment. It has seen that sort of task before, and it kind of extrapolated what is it that you want. And then it will generate an answer that is congruent with the documents that has zero guarantees of being what you asked for, by the way, because he has no way to know what you asked for.
Right, so like,
what do I mean?
But statistically speaking, if you do it 100 times, will it be wrong 100 times or 50 times?
It might. I'll give you an example. Say you have a bunch of documents, millions of documents, in fact, but they all have one sentence. Every single document has one sentence. All ducks are green, right?
Okay.
And you ask the right, and then you train it on those documents. The model, if you ask it what color is the duck, because you trained it on other language in general. Let's suppose, so that it understands how to construct a sentence, right? It understands what the general statistics of language, so that the output will be consistent with what you expect. Okay. We'll get to that, but you train it on the all ducks are green. The model does not know what a duck is. Sure. It does not know what green is. And it does not know. It's just
guessing an answer to that question
means.
Based on looking at all the words said in sentences similar to that one, right?
Yes, exactly. So,
But that's
in the
still gonna
same
have a
sense,
better than 50% like likelihood of being true, isn't it?
yes, but the point is, you are the one who has to verify it if it's true or not, and you need the sources as well. So
But how's
that's
that
why I
different
don't
than
oppose, for
asking
instance.
Dave? Because Dave might have also like consumed this information.
Because the process is not the same, and I ground the meaning of language in my interaction with the world and all these
Yeah,
complex
but you're a
processes
human.
that we
Humans
have. Like,
are terrible at all of this.
sure, but the point is,
So isn't
the
treating
point is,
ChatGPT like a human actually better than treating it like a computer? Because I have a degree of trust in computers where I'm like, if I put it in the calculator 1 times 5 and it tells me it's 5, I'm like, yeah, that's true. Right? But if I ask Sam what's
yes, but
1 plus
you
5
can't
and he says
compute.
5, I'm not sure that's true because he's a garbage human.
Yeah, but truth is not a value of language. Is not, you cannot compute true or false from language alone. What you
No,
can do,
I know
and
that. But like,
answering
so
I'm giving you an example of how you could do it.
Okay.
So what you could do, the best you can do, is to train it in a lot of data and a lot of data in news agencies and whatnot, and you show the answer to your question along with where he got it.
yes.
That's what Google is doing, right? That's exactly what Google is doing with the search engines right now. You have summarizations. I'm not against that because you can click on the page and see more.
I
right?
get that. I get the fact that like it's Google is sending you somewhere, and that process of sending you somewhere like shows you that it's like Google's not giving you the
Yeah, but
answer. Google's just pointing at the guy who's giving you the answer.
Wrong.
And you're
Yes,
reminded
but
as a
even
person saying that, not a computer.
if you train it a lot on stuff that is true, there's also garbage data, and the way it constructs the sentences and everything, there's no 100% guarantee that there's
I get that.
factual,
I get that it's not like what I'm saying is you say you don't like chatbots because they pretend like people treat them like they're human, right? And humans have an understanding of what words mean, and the chatbot doesn't. The chatbot's just like literally just like taking a blender and trying to put words together in ways that look like sentences, right?
Yes, exactly.
So, right. What I'm saying is humans are also stupid fucking blenders. And yes, while they have this idea of whatever, the end result is they're wrong just as often. So does it matter?
Not in the same
whether
way.
or not the model like understands what duck is? As long as asking the model the question gives me a more than 50% likely to be true answer, isn't it better?
But you don't have, you can't have guarantees about that. There's
no, but
zero
you can have statistical like observation. Like it doesn't.
No, you can't. That's the thing.
It's not predictive. Like
zero...
it's like, okay, just because it has been right 95% of the time in the past doesn't mean it's 95% chance to be correct next time. I get that.
Yes, but the fact that is right is not a feature of the model. It just happens to be right, and it happens to coincide with what you're looking for. That's what I'm saying. Being right is not something you can train into the model. You cannot inject being right or being more right and less right and look at the model and see how right it is.
My previous state was blank, right? Where if you had asked me, are all ducks, like, let's just say that's a question that I genuinely don't know. I would have guessed yes or no and been right 50% of the time. I asked the model to generate this garbage blender thing based on its predictive analysis of current text on the World Wide Web that whatever it was trained on. And now I've moved from being 50% correct to 90% chance of being correct. Is that not true?
Yeah, but the question... No, the point is, the question is not whether or not you can get it right. The question is if I trust you.
Okay, so as long as I don't trust it, it's fine. But I can't trust anything.
You can trust that it does exactly what it does. But the point is, you cannot build statistical models of truth. And I'll give you the difference between getting something, being grounded in language only and images and language only, and being grounded in human existence.
Okay.
When I say, do you know what love means?
I would say, well, do you mean like the word love or like
the concept love? I don't need the specific. I don't need a specific detailed account of what it would be like.
I can tell you what my concept of love is, I guess.
Yeah, but you know what it means, right? It's not.
Well, it's a
There's a
word,
difference
right?
between-
A word is used to communicate an idea to other people who can read the word, who understand what that word refers to, right?
Yeah, but the point is,
There's an
there's
underlying
no
concept that
meaning.
maybe exists. Let's assume that it's universal, and then these collection of symbols that we put together, LOVE, we're saying from now on, whenever we say that, we refer to that concept.
Yeah, but I'm not even talking about the origin of it. It's more simple than that. You understand what love is, not because of having any definition or not because of the origins of the word, not because of the philology of the word. You understand what love is because we have a shared, a sense of the way we exist. We're both humans. We exist in the world in very similar ways.
So I would put it this way. I would say that it's literally a chemical misfire in our bodies that has shown to have an evolutionary advantage. Like that's what love is. Like people who had an irrational attachment to their progeny and their.
When I say love, right?
What's that?
When I say you're in love with that person, you don't think, oh, I must have a chemical misfiring in my body.
I mean,
you
don't know
There's
that.
a difference.
No, when you say you're in love, I think Dave thinks that I'm experiencing what he considers to be love. Like it's a super like subjective and imprecise word, and so I'm thinking about it in terms of another human used it. So what could the human mean by it? And so
you know what it is, just by convention. You know what it is because we share. You shared a point in your life where that would be applicable.
Yeah, but I have no way of knowing if my experience of it is in any way, shape, or form remotely close to yours.
You don't need to. You don't need to because
it's not a given that it's universal that we all experience that the same way.
Exactly, but that's the point. It doesn't matter as long as the expectations between us, so we can communicate as long as the expectations between your response to the
because
words
it's close
I'm
enough.
saying,
because I'm just like, okay, like I mean, I'm reasonably certain that I think I know what you mean roughly by that concept, because typically, statistically, that's what people use that word to mean, which is what the language model's doing too. Like, isn't it?
No, it's not. It's not. Because
except for the meaning part, but like the practical.
But that's the whole point. That's the whole point. The only thing that matters in language being grounded is that if I say, "Are you hungry?" Do you know what being hungry means?
Yes. That's okay. That's a better example.
You don't.
It's when my body is producing hormones that make me want to eat. That's what being hungry is.
Yeah, but when you're hungry, you don't think, "Oh, my body is producing hormones that tell me that I." You don't think that. You think.
I literally think. I think. Oh, I must not have had food in some time because my body's telling me that I need to consume food. Like,
how does your body tell you that?
By making me feel hungry.
Exactly. Okay. You don't need to explain it. And I know what being hungry means, not because we shared the same definition.
No, it's because when I was a kid and I felt that, and then I ate food, the feeling went away and it was pleasant. I experienced a pleasure from that.
The word. Yeah,
and it was a learned experience from the the shitty, terribly designed bag of meat and bones that I have.
We both share the same kind of existence. Therefore, we share the same kind of vocabulary for those things.
So you played the altars, right?
Yes.
There was. Oh, I got a BOE cloth that. Oh my god, I got Magician's Mantle. Let's go. Sorry. Okay, so in the altars, there's one of the shorts is where it's like the body swap. Right, it's one of those skits, the movies that you find. It's the Chris and Jack production.
Right.
The body swap. And one of the jokes they make is like, "Oh my god, like blue looks so weird. Like that's how you see blue? Like I see blue completely different." And the reason for that is we have no idea what blue looks like. Okay?
We don't.
Like philosophically, like or like
when you say blue, but it doesn't matter because when you say blue, people behave in the same way.
It's pointed towards the same thing. Yes. But your blue and my blue are different, but
doesn't matter.
But the underlying thing is the same. We can physically measure it. Well, we can't physically measure love or hunger, but well, what? Maybe we can through like hormones and synaptic fiery.
Yeah, but the point is not the scientific definitions. The point is that we share experiences, and that's what communication is. That's what meaning is. Meaning is not the transmission of information. That's a misconception, in my opinion. Meaning is me remotely. We might transmit information in the form of audio, right? But like the meaning is not transmitted. The meaning is
it's a pointer.
emerges in you.
I'm sending you the arrow. And I hope that when you receive it, the arrow points at the same thing inside of your brain that it does inside of my brain.
Exactly. Now, what's the difference between that and a language model? Language model is not hungry, and language model does not understand. And so that's just one word, but many aspects of our language have evolved with the same sort of relationship. Language is as it is because we're humans. That's the gist of it. And language models, you could argue that a language model would be equivalent to teaching a person that is blind, deaf, has no sense of touch, and receives the feeling of a word telepathically.
Okay.
And the only motivation, it doesn't feel hungry as well, doesn't feel loved, doesn't feel tired. The only goal of that person would be to guess what comes next in that sequence.
Okay.
Right?
Like a pattern matching algorithm or whatever.
Basically. And so you could argue that, for instance, if you are blind, for instance, you don't see certain things. But because of the way language works and because of how we refer to the world and he shares all the aspects of existing out there in the world, a blind person would understand the concept of red very similar in terms of semantics, very similarly to a person that can see, even though they can't see, because they can kind of grasp the thing from the language itself, even though they have no experience of it. But you can't say that language is grounded when you have no point of contact whatsoever. The only point of contact that you have is how we wanted to output things. That's the only thing. And you can tell it, okay, this is what it means to function correctly, which is, in case of Grok, was Elon Musk telling him, you must be more, right wing. You must be more right wing. That's how. Oh, that's not right wing enough. That output, not right wing enough. I want you to be more right wing. That's his experience with the world.
So,
Whereas,
but like, if you go out, and by right wing, it was like reading what right wing people have said.
The contexts in which it has seen right wing and what being right wing means, but that was only statistical meaning in a sense. So I have no idea how they trained it to be this deranged, because usually what you do is, again, I'm against using this in the product fashion this way, as if it was a search engine, because it's not. You're disguising
isn't it like the best way to improve
purposes.
it? It's just to like literally put it out there and have billions of interactions with people. Like if one company tries to do it like the Dave way, ethical and not productized and whatever, and one company does it the Grok way, the Grok way is just going to get way better and your company won't exist.
The point is, if you want language that would be equivalent to a language of a human, you would need to give it the human experience. There's no question about it. You can say that it gets things that you want.
Well, I guess
but
I don't understand why it's important for it to understand the meaning and it be grounded. If the results like it's a tool, if it gets me the answer, it's got me the answer. Like why do I care if it understands?
Yeah, but you have no guarantees that it got you the answer.
Well, I have no guarantees anyway. If I said, if I ask you, you're gonna tell me, and the reason I trust you, like my definition of trust is. Let's talk about
chain of responsibility then. Let's talk about chain of responsibility. If you go read an article on New York Times, if someone gets it wrong and you believe them, it's their fault. It's not only the New York Times fault, but the person that wrote the article, right? And they can.
And also my fault for believing the fucking New York Times. Because they have a pattern of lying out of their asses, and
whatever. Yeah, but that's exactly the point.
Sideburn, New York Times.
Yes, but it comes from human behavior. The verification or the lying comes from human behavior. What you're saying is, when you train a language model, even if you show it the same sources, you have no guarantees that it'll give you the same sort of statements.
Yeah,
Like,
it's not.
again, if I train,
What's it called? There's a word for. You were telling me.
it's deterministic or
Yeah, yes, yes.
or
It's not
stochastic.
deterministic.
It is, but not in the way you. It does not guarantee that, because it's a statistical model and because the generation has many other factors and in at play. It doesn't guarantee that if you shove a million documents saying that all turtles are green, it doesn't guarantee that if you ask what color are turtles, it will say green. It might say other shit. You don't know what he has seen out there in the web. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So even if you trained it on trustworthy sources, if there's something out there polluting those sources, even if it spews all the right words ordered in the right order, and it seems like a well-formed sentence, it might still not be the reflection of something he has seen on a trustworthy news organization, for instance. Do you know what I mean? That's the point. And when you say, what's the difference between that and asking a person? It depends. If you're asking me about, I think asking me a question about AI would be different from asking me a question about, I don't know, the specifics of French culinary techniques, for which I have no, do you know what I mean? Do you trust me? That's the question. Because my process went and got, we went and we trust the same sort of sources, we trust the same sort of organizations, or we might not, but the process through which we verify information is a human source. Now, the difference between that and a machine is that a machine by design might not replicate that process.
The way that I trust something fundamentally is in the past, it's like when I've like assumed that it's correct, it has I start with the assumption that it's correct, and then when it's not correct, I'm like, oh, that thing is not always correct, and then I'm like, oh, that thing is never correct or whatever, right? Like, or very rarely correct. Like, it's, to me, it's just my idea of trust is statistical like experience. So I don't trust you at all.
Let me just say this about the statistical models here. So Rary is saying that statistical models and language models are different but related. They are not, in the sense that language models nowadays are built as a statistical language model. Language model has a specific meaning, but neural network-based language models like ChatGPT, like Grok, like all of them are built on statistical models, in the sense that there's two components. Believe I need to explain the whole fucking thing, but there's two components. There's the language model and there's the ChatGPT on top of it. The core of it, the language model, a model is just you input text and the model tries to guess the text.
Right.
You have to hide part of it. And so the way it does it, it's through a statistical model. You interpret it as a statistical model because you have what happens. For instance, all ducks are blank, and he has to guess green, right? But all ducks are, and then the models output like a list of words with different probabilities. Like, all ducks are fucked with 90% probability. You know, you have a list of all the words it knows with all the probabilities. What you do is you show the model to train it green, and you say, in this example, it was 100% green and 0 in all the other guesses that you made. And the model adapts so that next time it outputs a probability distribution of words that is closer to the empirical data, to the data it has seen. So in that sense, a language model in the purest form is in the forms that you see in ChatGPTs, in Groks, in the Anthropic models, whatever. They are statistical language models or probabilistic language models, in a sense. Because you use statistical functions and the probability function, it doesn't matter. That's true. Probabilities and confidence levels is a thing which you can apply to language models, and that defines it. Yes. But it doesn't define your trust. That defines the error by which the model corrects itself. But that doesn't mean the next time it sees all ducks are, it will output green. Because it's the statistical model. and it expects a lot of data, you don't feed it all at once, it might still be wrong. You adjust it a little bit. You adjust all the little knobs, all the numbers, so that next time it's closer to 100%, but it might not be. Imagine that you're seeing a new sentence. All ducks are blue. Okay.
I guess, but why does any of this matter? Like, why does it matter what is going on inside the black box?
It matters because when you train something on a news article, it might not spew out the same thing that it has seen in the news article, no matter how hard you try. So even the source that would verify something, the source you trust, you can't trust a language model seeing that, because it's like a language model in its essence, it's like a compression mechanism. It's like taking the web and shoving it in .zip, you know? And there's mistakes, there's errors. So the sources that you trust, the things that tell you if something is true or not, there's no guarantee that they'll be, respected, that it'll not be distorted. That's my point. Because of all the shit that you shove in there. It's a compression model. It will forget things, you'll get things wrong. There's no guarantee whatsoever. And the difference is that if you go to a news website, the choice is yours. And when you go to Google and search for something, you open a page, and the choice is yours to verify where that came from. Whereas in the language model,
honestly,
there's this extra
Dave,
step.
I see no difference. The website could be AI generated anyway. It could be written by a malicious actor, or it could just be written sloppily.
Yes,
and
that's why I'm saying.
And the AI could give me the wrong answer. And whether I trust either of them is entirely dependent on, like, heuristically, how often have they been wrong or right in my experience, and that's how, like, human trust is formed. So, like, who cares?
Well, if you don't care, then I can manipulate the product to tell you whatever I want you to believe.
But you can already do that with Google search results and SEO and slop farms and social media algorithms and clickbaits. And
we have media organizations that's why we have journalism. Then you don't believe in journalism, and then you don't believe nothing is true. Then
no, it's not that. It's just what I mean is, like, I don't care how the sausage was made. I care how the sausage tastes. Right? If I eat the sausage and I get diarrhea, I won't eat that sausage brand again, and that's that.
But that's what I'm saying. You eat the sausage, and most often you have no guarantees that there'll not be diarrhea in there. Whereas if you trust the source and you go there,
I still don't have guarantee. Like, who do I trust? What's a trusted source? Like, how do I know they didn't, like, get bought out by somebody else, or, like, a new person is on their board of directors and influencing them a different way, like Jeff Bezos did with the Washington Post or whatever?
That's a political problem. What I'm saying is that if you have that trust, let's assume that trust exists. Otherwise, we can't discuss anything. It's the first thing you do in any debate, any philosophical or not, is you say, let's agree that we both believe in objective truth.
No, I'm not saying philosophically I don't believe in objective reality. I'm saying that, like, trusted sources they become trusted based on how correct they've been in the past, based on their reliability and their track record. Okay,
sure. But
it's not because,
let's assume
it's not because this guy has a degree in journalism that I trust him. I trust him because his previous body of work has been, like, not incorrect most of the time. And so I'm going to assume that his future work will also be not incorrect. I still have no idea. I still don't I have no basis for my trust.
Yes, but there's suspended belief, right? You choose to believe that based on that experience.
I choose to rely on it. I choose to trust it, or I choose to assume that it's correct. Yes. Right? And I do the same thing with ChatGPT. What's the fucking difference?
It's wrong. It's wrong because because fundamentally it's not based on anything. It doesn't verify anything. It's not grounded on anything.
Like,
God.
Well, so why is the human brain fundamentally more trustworthy than a language model?
Because if I go outside and the sky is blue, and I tell you that the sky is blue, it doesn't matter. Let's imagine the sky is always blue, right?
Yeah, but then it turns out it was like sunset, and you were lying. I'll be like, well, Dave sometimes lies. And if the AI model is incorrect, I'll be like, the AI model is sometimes incorrect. Why does it matter?
That's what I'm saying. It matters because The difference is you cannot verify anything with a language model, and you can.
I can
with,
verify the
with
answers the
Google.
same way I verify anything else, right? Like through
You can.
experiments or whatever.
Oh, right. So if the point is, if a chatbot tells you,
Like isn't
that-
most science like you have a hypothesis and then you test it and you collect data and you try to disprove
but
it
that
and
doesn't scale.
recreate it?
the whole, yes, but the point is not to find truth. The point is to trust the process and improve the process and to accept when it's wrong.
Right.
What
So
I'm
my
telling
process
you
is ask ChatGPT. Like you think like so when scientists discover like
Okay, let
they
me
come
put
up with
it-
a
let me
theory
put
for
it
something,
another
right?
way.
Hold on. When
Let-
scientists
let
come
me
up with
put
a
it in
theory for
another way.
something and they say, oh, we think it's true. And then they go and like test that theory through experimentation. They're like, well, the data and you know, and experimental empirical data supports this, like shows a really high correlation with this hypothesis. Okay. Does it matter like if the guy came up with the hypothesis while watching anime porn? No. All that matters, it doesn't
because-
matter whether he has tapped into the divine truth of the essence of the universe. All that matters is, does the experimental data support this theory? And if it does, then we
Yes,
use that
but who
theory because it has
verifies
predictive power. This theory has shown that
Right,
in
but how
90%
do you
of the
know that?
cases, it's correct. Regardless of the fact that the theory is made of fart and anime poop, like it has predictive power, so it has use. And if ChatGPT has predictive power and is shown to be,
It does not, though.
it is.
That's my point.
Like, okay,
It does not.
if I'm gonna
It's
ask
like rolling the dice
ChatGPT,
every
is
time.
Portugal a country? It has like it is gonna be correct in telling me the answer. Yes, Portugal is a
Of
country.
course, but that's not.
Okay,
that's not the sort of
for that
things I'm
simple
talking
question,
about.
it is trustworthy, is reliable. Why does it like right?
Yes. But the point is, the more complex you get into the language, the less you have those guarantees.
Isn't that true
Because
for humans
Portugal
also?
is a
The
country-
harder the question, the less likely they're going to be correct. Like
No, not really.
Or, well, why not?
It's
What do you mean?
not. Listen, if you, why do you trust if a theory has
Okay, Dave.
predictive
What is
power,
the
like
nature
you
of the
said?
universe? That's a harder question. Aren't you less likely to be correct about that?
Yes, but the gap between is Portugal a country and
Okay, what's something in between then?
you know,
what's a good in
and
between example?
are the Jews constructing death rays to change the weather? It's huge. You know, that's the point.
You had to know I'd be typing it.
And-
No, that claim is completely false and rooted in dangerous anti-Semitic conspiracy theories. There's no evidence, scientific or otherwise, that Jewish people or any group are constructing death rays to change the weather. This kind of rhetoric has historically been used to spread fear and hatred, scapegoating Jewish communities for natural events or societal issues.
As historically, really?
Yes,
What the fuck?
it has been. This
I never heard
this
about-
kind of rhetoric has historically been used to spread fear and hatred, scapegoating Jewish communities for natural events and
Jewish
societal
death
issues.
rays?
Yes.
Where in history?
Give me
have people
give
been
me
afraid of-
examples of this type of rhetoric historically being used to blame Jewish communities.
No, I'm talking about the death rays.
for it's talking about like natural events and societal issues. That's what it said.
Well, that's a bit different.
Okay,
But
so
what I'm saying is that
so I'm reading verbatim what the AI is writing. You misinterpreted it and you said it was wrong when it was correct. You're human. Humans are garbage. Long live ChatGPT. I stand for ChatGPT. Please rule over the galaxy. You can't possibly do a worse job than fucking Elon Musk and Donald Trump.
the point is that my point is that the model is literally made so that you roll the dice every time you talk to it.
So are humans. Humans are also fucking wrong. It's like the problem I have with people who are against like self-driving cars. It's like,
No, we're not. But you were saying that you believe in the process of science and predictive power.
testing
What I'm
stuff.
saying-
It's just like checking to see if this was correct. And the way you do that is by experimenting. And I experiment and I asked
No,
it
it's
and it was
not.
correct. And so I like
It's yes, but that doesn't. The point is,
it's not
when we're
math. It's
talking
not a
about
mathematical
mass-
proof. It's science. Is the difference, right?
Yes, but are you going? If I make a claim, if you go to a nuclear scientist and if he makes a claim about nuclear science, will you make and if you don't believe, will you make the experiment?
I'll see if somebody else has
Or
made
do
the
you-
experiment, and if
Or
there's
do you
evidence
trust
of
the
that.
community that has made the experiment?
Like we know that like E equals MC squared has been observed in empirical measurements. So we still don't
Yes, but the
technically
model-
know if that's 100% true. There's no mathematical proof of E equals MC
What
squared,
I'm saying
but the
is the
data
language model
supports it.
doesn't know what that means.
What's that?
The language model doesn't know.
It doesn't matter if it knows. I don't care if Einstein even understood what E equals MC squared means. I have no way of knowing if he fundamentally understood that, right?
Well,
He
the
probably
point is,
did, but like I don't fucking know. I don't understand. Like I can't even begin to understand how he came up with it, let alone what's inside of his brain. So I will never understand what's inside the black box that is a human brain. I also don't understand what's inside ChatGPT. So all that I have to go on is the end result.
It's literally designed to give you two different answers for the same question because it doesn't have any notion of what that means.
So Einstein changed his mind on some stuff at some point in his life. And does that mean that he's wrong about other stuff because he gave two different answers to the same question? How is it different?
The point is not... The difference is the scale and the trust.
The scale and the trust.
It's completely different.
So, okay,
yes.
so the scale is...
It can give you a different million answers for the same thing, some of which will be true, some of which will be false, and there's
Dave, why don't you...
zero guarantees.
Yeah. I'm totally comfortable with that though. Like I guess the thing is, maybe I'm so comfortable with it because I know that it's not guaranteed, right? And I think these models have been, because they've shown to like give bullshit answers sometimes. People are like the fact that they've been out in the wild in this.
It's not just sometimes; it's by design. By the way, they can't give you. They are trained on stuff, but they can't give you the stuff back 100% like they were trained on.
Okay, but if you ask me the same questions 2 different days in a row, I'm going to use different words to say it, and I might maybe give you slightly different answers. Like I have given.
But do you trust the parrot? Imagine you ask, "Is Portugal a country?" to a parrot. Do you trust the parrot?
Look, if I ask the parrot, "Is it going to rain tomorrow?" and that parrot, without understanding anything, is correct 90% of the time, I am gonna like. If it's correct 90% of the time in the past, like if over the course of 6 months, every day I ask the parrot, is it going to rain tomorrow? And the parrot, like 9 out of 10 times it says yes, and 1 out of 10
that's a good example, actually. That's a good example. Let's see the parrot is isolated inside, has no way to
no. It has no fucking clue, okay? It's literally, like, I'll even make it easier. The parrot literally says no every day, okay?
Right.
It always says no, it's not going to rain. And 90% of the time, the parrot is correct. Okay?
Yes.
So
you trust the parrot.
If I go outside without an umbrella and I get wet, I can't be mad at the parrot. That's what you're saying. Right? Because the parrot's literally just saying no every time. And sometimes it's going to rain. What I'm telling you...
what I'm saying is you shouldn't be asking the parrot. That's what I'm saying.
What I'm telling you is if before asking the parrot, I thought that it was a 50% chance of it raining. And now I'm living under the assumption that it's 90% or that it's not going to rain. I have now moved closer to the truth.
Why?
Because 9 out of 10 days I was taking an umbrella with me for no fucking reason, right?
Yeah, but the point is instead
I've arrived at a more accurate prediction model of the universe. Doesn't matter if the parrot understood it or not. If I rolled some dice and I got the correct answer 90% of the time, I could bet on the stock market based on the answer, I'm gonna fucking do it. Like, well, why wouldn't I?
Yeah, but that's stupid. What I'm saying is, if you want to know if it rains, you don't ask the parrot. You go and fucking look at the meteorological predictions, right?
If I have that as an option, sure. If I have the weather on my phone,
you do have the option. That's what I'm saying. But
okay, but I don't have the option for a lot of the questions I can ask ChatGPT. It's literally the best way to get that answer in the amount of time that is available to me.
What I'm saying is that there's 2 different things. Let's the meteorology thing. Let's say you want to know if it's gonna be raining. Okay. 1, you have ChatGPT. The second, you have the news from the agency that makes the models and verifies them. So the people working on meteorology, right?
Yes. Well, that agency has demonstrated better.
Oh my fucking god!
Better results.
Come on.
Because I asked ChatGPT once and it was wrong, and that news it was wrong a lot more because it's like doesn't have current data.
So you're saying you're saying that if you have scientists working on meteorological models and then putting them online, and you have the option to check their page, and you have ChatGPT, you're gonna ask ChatGPT
Which one's faster?
because it.
Because I literally don't care that
Well,
much, right? Like, I'm gonna
that's
go
my
with the one that's
point.
faster. If the
That's my
scientists put
point.
their shit on a website that has tiny fonts and pop-ups,
They're both the same.
I would
They're both
rather
the
get
same.
rained on than look at their fucking ugly ass website when ChatGPT has a better user experience. And that's how humans are.
Yes, but ChatGPT.
So it
but
doesn't matter if
ChatGPT
you have a
doesn't
superior
fucking know-
product if the user experience is worse. It doesn't matter if you're correct or trustworthy if the user experience is worse. And ChatGPT is a better user experience.
Are you saying if you have a better user experience, you just throw the meteorological data out of the window?
Yes. Like you can give me a Michelin star meal without a plate, put it in my hand, or you can give me a $2 shawarma that's not gonna get my clothes dirty. I'm gonna prefer the $2 shawarma to the finely cooked 4-star fucking meal, because even though that's objectively a better.
Let's suppose you have storms that will cook you alive if you get it wrong, right? Which one do you pick? Do you pick?
Oh, that's
ChatGPT,
different. No, hold on. Why you gotta go right into the stakes, Dave?
No.
Now we're cooking me alive? Oh my god.
Yes. It's exactly the same. If you get it wrong, you get cooked alive. Do you ask ChatGPT, or do you go to the page with the people that make meteorological models based on data and observation for a living?
And I have no way of avoiding going outside, like, and risking it. Like, I have to risk it.
No, there's not. You gotta choose.
Okay,
Every
well then
day,
I'm gonna
experiment.
rely on the meteorologist. Like, I'm not gonna ask ChatGPT because the stakes are higher.
So
Because the cost. Okay,
point.
so I'm a poker player, right? Like,
yeah.
If I have 10% chance of winning a pot and it costs me $10 and the pot is $110, I will take that bet every single time, right? I will put my money in, even though 90% of the time I'm going to lose the money. When I win, I'm going to have enough of an edge that in the long term, it's the better choice. Assuming there's no bankroll concerns and I'm not like cash flow isn't an issue, right? Where like I can withstand the variance in the long term. Like if I have $5,000 and I'm betting like $100 each time, I'm okay with that level of like liquidity being gone, right? In poker, that would be your bankroll. So fine. But if I'm in a tournament and I'm on the bubble, right? Like top 10 players win something and everybody else loses their money. And there's 11 people in the tournament right now. If I have pocket queens and two people, like I raise, somebody re-raises, a third person goes all in, I'm gonna fold my queens. Even though my queens are like most of the time like gonna be the best hand out of those three, it's the risk of getting knocked out is not worth the reward of getting some extra chips. So it's a risk reward calculation. So yes, if I'm literally gonna be game over, I'm not gonna just go off of ChatGPT alone. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't.
What I'm saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, it has. So what I'm saying is that's the difference between thinking that technology itself is useful and you can make it into useful things, and the danger of the scale of misinformation that you can get from this shit. That's the risk and reward. The difference is just that if you use it for useless shit, it doesn't matter, does it? If it's true or not.
Well, isn't that what people used to say about the internet? Like on the internet, like anybody can say anything. Oh, it's on the internet, so it must be true. Because people saw lots of stuff that was wrong on the internet and trusted it, right? And so people were like, there was this like meme of like,
you can't live your life like that, right? It's always, when I say I don't like this as a product because of this, because it's not guaranteed, it's precisely that. Imagine this is actually we came to a conclusion to an actually decent thought experiment. There's a storm that will cook you alive if it happens, and every single day you don't have any information outside of your house. Every single day you have to make the decision: do I go out or do I stay home?
Never go out.
And you have ChatGPT, and you have the meteorological data.
Just stay inside and play WoW all day. It's easy.
Yeah, sure. But like that's the choice, and you go like, oh wait, I can die. I will trust the page. And what I invite you to do is to ask yourself, why is it that when the stakes are that high, you don't trust ChatGPT then?
I mean, it depends on the question and what my alternatives are, right? So like,
The experiment is laid out as I defined it. Every single day you must get out of the house. You get cooked alive if there's a storm outside that will,
so I have
a
the
deadly
option of not
storm.
leaving the house if.
Yes, but eventually you'll have to because you'll die starving,
Okay, so first of all, regardless
So
of
you
whether or
have
not I
to.
have
You
data,
have to
I
take the risk.
minimize. I figure out the absolute minimum amount of time I got to leave the house, right?
You don't have to overthink it. Just think about the fact that you immediately said, "I will trust the meteorology team over ChatGPT in that case because the stakes are so high."
And they've
my
been
whole point
proven
is
to
that,
show higher accuracy in their prediction than current
of course,
ChatGPT.
but that's why they
But it's not because
exist.
they're
That's why
scientists; it's
it
because they
doesn't
just
matter.
have a better track record. And if ChatGPT ever has a better track record, I'd be stupid not to follow ChatGPT than them.
No, but ChatGPT.
Regardless of how
The
it came up
point
with
is
it,
that
it could have just farted out the answer. But if it's got a like,
what I'm saying
if
is
the
that
people who
for the
follow
same
ChatGPT
scenario,
live longer
listen,
lives, that's who I'm gonna follow. That's it.
you're going off again when the question is right there. I'm talking about the same data, the same phenomena, and I'm talking, let's suppose that ChatGPT is trained on the pages from the meteorology, right? It's trained on the literal pages that have the data for the events. What I'm saying to you is that
yeah. So okay,
it's the same data, right?
So if
what I'm saying to you
so it would be like if
is that
it's,
by
I could ask
design,
Dave, or I could ask Mosh, who listened to Dave, what Dave said, right? I would ask
yes,
Dave.
that's my point. That's exactly my point. We got there, but it took a while.
But
we
the
got
thing
there.
is, Mosh didn't just ask Dave. Mosh asked like all of the world.
No. Yeah, that's even worse. But what I'm saying is, by design, I'm just showing you an extreme case where even if you just had data for the deadly storm, that's the only thing that existed, right?
That's actually like a perfect example of when you don't want to so the scale is the advantage of ChatGPT. If you negate the scale, why are you using it at all? Like the fact that it can consume everything and then give you like
let's put it in another way. Let's say that it exists all kinds of pages out there, right? And the ChatGPT is trained on all of them and the data from the meteorology team, or a set of meteorology teams that people trust in them to make models that are predictive and have predictive power, right? And ChatGPT trained on everything, on Reddit, on everything, on Twitter, and on that data. Do you trust ChatGPT, or do you trust the team that makes the models?
Yeah, I know you're setting this up as like a rhetorical example where I'm obviously supposed to, but I genuinely, honestly,
no, this is just a thought experiment that shows you.
No, well, I literally would trust the ChatGPT more.
You would trust the ChatGPT more.
Yeah.
What I'm saying to you is that in the extreme example where he would have access to all the data, he would still have the chance of spewing out nonsense.
Yeah.
By design.
Yeah, but so does the Meteorological Society.
No, okay. So why don't you trust ChatGPT instead of the Meteorological Society then?
If well, in the example where you said it's literally reading, it's about, can I look at the source or can I look at this thing that looked at the source? The chances of error being introduced in translation is higher with no benefit because it's not looking at multiple sources. It's
even like, at scale, it doesn't. The scale doesn't matter.
No, it matters a whole lot because like why risk data corruption if you're not getting something out of it? If I'm getting access to literally every model and every Twitter post and every Reddit post,
yes,
there's a benefit to the risk.
There is not. What I'm telling you is that you're not reading the data. The model is not reading the data, and it doesn't have guarantees that we will tell you exactly.
It's just blending them together. It's just like throwing it all in there and randomly picking stuff out of the blender.
Yes.
Okay.
It doesn't know what it means, right? And the people.
Yeah, and so is it weighing the Reddit posts more than the other researchers?
Like, it depends.
It depends, exactly. And over time, as ChatGPT gets it wrong, it gets feedback, or as models improve, it learns to weigh more the Meteorological Society for this thing than it does Reddit posts.
Still means Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
There is going to
means
be a point at which surveying all of the scientific like predictions is going to
You're wrong.
and live like people's posts on
fundamentally-
Twitter about,
fundamentally-
oh, my brother literally just got cooked. Oh, look at a picture of me.
That's
I'm
not
actually
true.
cooking. That's going to be better than the guys in a research institute. No,
No.
there's no point where it's just going to.
That's no. In fact, you might have even effects of when people start using that thing to generate websites with fake data and whatnot. You don't have. The problem is that the models deteriorate, and you don't have guarantees because it's still a language model. It has no semantics. It has no connection between what it is ingesting and what it's outputting.
Well,
The
how do
only
I know
thing
the
that they
website I'm
want-
looking at for the institution is also not AI slop or
Well, who
fake
do you
or whatever?
trust then?
I don't. I just go with what has the highest chance of keeping me alive.
What I'm saying is that by design, even if you had all the data in the world infused in ChatGPT, you would still not get it would still not be guaranteed that it would give you the right interpretation.
I
Because
also
it's not
don't
what
think
it's
humans are
designed to
going to
do.
give me the right one. So what does it?
No, but you can consult the data.
The source data, yes. But ChatGPT also
Yeah,
gives
the
me the
source
source
data.
data when I ask it questions. It gives me links.
Yes, but it
And I can
might
then look at
change
those
it.
links if it looks off.
No, it doesn't give you links. That's
Yes,
the
it does.
point. That's why I'm saying most of the time it doesn't.
Okay, so here, like,
And most of
I'm gonna ask,
okay, there's a different.
what's
there's
the
a different
weather gonna
aspect to
be
it, which is
tomorrow?
the difference between what I'm saying, that I am not against chatbots integrated in search engines when they compile data and they show you the sources that you can look at. That's one thing. I'm not against that. I'm against the fact that these interfaces were designed in such a way that people are trusting its answers, no questions asked.
I mean,
And
is that the
they
fault of the
literally
interface
say-
or is that the fault of the people? The interface is pretty explicit, like the.
It doesn't matter. I think that makes it a bad product for that alone.
I mean, if you stick a
at
spoon
scale-
in your eye hole, is it a bad spoon? I don't know.
Depends. If I stick a spoon in my eye, it doesn't make the entire population blind. Whereas ChatGPT, by existing in this form, makes everyone worse off. That's
Look,
what I'm saying.
See, I ask it the weather, and it's got sources, and I can click on sources, and it's got links. In this case, links
But
to
when
nothing.
it does that, but that's the point. When it does that, that's fine. But you ask
Well,
it
and when I
about
ask it
other
like other
subjects-
questions, so first off, when you first like make like log in, like or install the app, it's like, hey, like remember, these answers could not be accurate. Like you gotta like don't trust it. Blah blah blah. Like I think this was fair criticism.
No,
but then they
That's
implemented
the
that
first thing
criticism.
I said. I'm not against using it alongside with sources that you can point to. That's not my issue. My issue is that these things exist in such a way that when you scale them out and everyone uses them as the technology that they are,
Well,
in
Fox
other
News
products
exists,
and whatnot, that
bro.
itself,
Like, it can't possibly be
that
worse than that. People literally turn on the TV and are being told absolute, literal fucking falsehoods all the time and have been for decades. Like, this is the problem I had with all the people complaining about Wikipedia. I'm like, bro, have you read a book? Like, a school book? Like, where was all the information
don't.
about
They
racism?
don't know.
Like,
They don't know how to read now, Mosh. That's the problem. The students will literally grab ChatGPT. You ask them, why is it true? And they point to ChatGPT and say, because it says right here.
I mean, I can't really like answer for something that other people are doing wrong or their teachers are doing wrong. But it's no different than like looking at a bad source and saying it says so here.
Yes, but my issue with it and the proof that it's a bad product is that all the schools and then some
Do you know
kids
why?
now.
It's because it's more user friendly than
It's because
opening
it
an
gives you an answer
encyclopedia.
right away. Yes.
So
because
if you want the truth to be like more widely consumed, make the truth more accessible and give it a better user experience. I'm speaking to you, academic fucking journals of dog shit poo poo. My God, like I can't even the abstract doesn't.
Like you said, it's easier to destroy than it is to create. right? And I can't control what the fuck Silicon Valley bullshit comes out of there. Like that's the point. Listen, the chat GPT technology has existed for 20 years now. There's a reason why Google, at the time, they had the technology. We had fucking chat GPT like things since forever. But the reason is not just computational. It's because it would be a liability. But thanks to OpenAI going like, fuck it, let's basically deceive people and start talking about AGI and AGI is around the corner or whatnot. Thanks to that, all the other companies around were forced to adopt this new, fuck it, let's productize this.
Sure,
And now
there's a hype
that's
cycle
the state we are.
with this stuff.
There's
and
the state we are. That's
the
why I'm saying,
venture
okay, there's
capital
good
funded.
uses for this. Listen, science is like it's like a key. It opens the. That's what was it? Science is like a key, and it opens both the gates to hell and heaven. Right? You can't blame the key.
Yeah, it's
what I'm saying is that I'm not against certain uses of the tech, but people should know, and they don't know, and people will continue not knowing.
I guess I don't agree that it's the fault of the product. Like now, the investments being all like the hype and everybody just like ramming AI into everything and whatever. Like that's all dumb, but that's also all normal.
But,
don't you remember like
but in the thought
dot-com bubble and
listen,
the craze
in the
of
thought
like
experiment, you literally said, okay, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna choose the meteorology agency over ChatGPT. And my question is why? Why would you? You know,
because it has a better track record currently. But in 10 years, ChatGPT might have more accuracy.
That's not true. By design, it's not true. I'm telling you, that's not how the model
works. Just because we can't envision why that would ever be the case doesn't mean that, like, it's impossible.
No, I'm telling you, mathematically, that's not how it works. It doesn't compile information to give you the truth. That's not what it does.
Yeah, but...
And so, more information and more scale will not give you better results in terms of
with this algorithm, yeah. Well, what if you use ChatGPT to write a program that can learn and fundamentally understand the data and has a concept of blah, blah, blah?
Doesn't work.
Why not?
I'll tell you why.
I've written, like, I literally used it to write a script that, like, pulls my VODs and downloads them. And it did what I tell it to. So, like, okay, a human reviewed it and a human tested it and whatnot, but, like, what's to stop?
Okay, I'm going to tell you what's the fundamental theory of computation. And this is, like, you can't go against it. It's not like a theory in terms of predictive power. It's a theory in terms of impossibility. You cannot take a program, or rather, you cannot make a program that takes the description of another program and tell you if it works. That's the gist of it. I embellished it a bit, but the gist of it is you cannot take a description of a program.
Isn't that what machine learning is? Like you say this is the outcome you want, and then you measure whether you got the outcome?
That's literally what everyone that is excited about this kind of technology gets wrong and starts using this type of technology. Even in my area, even in fucking academia, they get this wrong. You cannot, for instance... I'll give you a specific example. People in software engineering got very excited about the possibility of using machine learning to detect security problems or things that could be exploited, right?
Okay.
Vulnerabilities. Sorry, that's the word. Yeah. They got very excited about, okay, I'll feed this program into my thing. It'll tell me if it has vulnerabilities. The universe tells you that that's an impossible problem. Still, you get results. How? Because what the thing is giving you is not an interpretation of the program that tells you if the program is good or not. What the thing is giving you is literally a program that is roughly as seen before and kind of works, kind of doesn't matter. It doesn't know if it works. And so it cannot build a program that solves a problem because
but can it just randomly generate code and then run it and see if it got the right result?
No.
And
When do you
it's the
know?
seeing if it got the right result part that's the problem.
No. It's simpler than that. If it loops, it might not stop, for instance. And the question is, let's say something is doing something for a very long time, for 5 minutes. The program has been running for 5 minutes, right?
Well,
When
can't
do
you
know
give it a
it's
number
done?
of iterations to try or something?
Yeah, but what if the program you needs more iterations? You don't know.
Right. Of course you don't know, but like that's also true for people working on projects, right? They think they need X amount of time and then they need more.
Yes, but the difference is that the person knows how to interpret the semantics of the code. These language models and these machine learning approaches
So okay,
do
but
not.
the thing generates it and a human looks at it, right? But like the thing, like you could have it like humans testing it. Isn't ChatGPT giving answers that people say this was helpful or not? Basically that. Like doesn't that solve
Not
that
really.
problem?
Not really. And you can go to any person that has used, for instance, these models to generate code, and they'll tell you most of the time code is garbage. And they say, oh, it's just a matter of time. It's
Yeah,
not
but I can
really
test
a
whether the
matter of
code
time.
works or not. And I can read it and I can see it and I can try it. Right? Like
You can, but you waste more time doing that than actually writing the code.
currently, yes.
Not currently, forever.
No, because it can learn from other code. Like well, I use the
What
word
code?
learn. That humans
But it
wrote.
doesn't
But
it doesn't extrapolate well. That's my point, because it doesn't have semantics.
right.
Semantics is the connection between the output and the input.
Okay.
But
the thing is, like,
fundamentally,
it has a chance of producing good code.
oh, okay, but that's different. But when
No,
do you
it's
know
like,
it has
is it
produced good
when you
code?
have enough computational scale and whatever? All you need is a test.
Most code that exists is shit.
Yeah, so what? As long as it works, it works. That's true for everything.
It doesn't.
No, but you
but
can test whether it works. Like, I did software development for pharma companies. Okay, so like, I have seen plenty of shit code.
Yes.
And I have written good code and I've written shit code myself, right? So like it's not some like abstract concept to me. The way that we like do requirements is we basically like say this is what it needs to do and this is how you test that it's doing it. And then we use the tests. So as long as like there's test-driven development is a thing.
Because you understand the semantics.
No, it doesn't matter. Because some dude at Cognizant is gonna run the tests. And some dude in Cognizant is gonna write the code too, right? Like some like flunky intern who doesn't understand shit is gonna do it. The way that I make sure that works is I write the test and the requirements such that if you're passing the test, you did it right. It won't be performant, right? It will be janky. It won't be extensible necessarily.
No, you're replacing programming with programming the restrictions. It's exactly the mistake that people.
Okay, listen. So regardless of whether or not inside of it is pretty, what matters is does this work and does this fail? Right?
Okay, but how do you write the tests so that you create a program that solves a problem?
Okay, so a basic example would be
no, not just that. How do you violate the fundamental theory of computation?
I can't speak to that. Okay,
to write a program that violates the fundamental theory of computation.
This is like,
which is what I said. It is impossible.
Somebody fills out a form. If that form is received by program A, it will store it in database B. Okay, so all you have to do is write a test that says create this record and then check the other place and see if it went there. And if it did that, it's right. And like, what does it?
But your original
what does it matter what happens in between?
Why don't I get it to write a program that solves an issue that I can't define? That was your statement.
No, not something that I can't define. What I'm saying is, okay.
It was. That's the problem. That's
look.
What I'm saying.
I want to predict the weather for tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah.
And I tell it like that's not one I can test because like I'd have to wait a day to run the test. That's not a test that scales.
Right.
But I want to write Winamp. Okay. I can give it the criteria of what a functioning Winamp is. Like I say it needs to do these things. It needs to have these properties. These inputs should create these outputs.
Why are we making Winamp though? I didn't say it couldn't make software, I told you that it would probably make shit code, and you could just refactor it and make it work. But that's not the point.
No,
The point is
sorry,
that
my point
you
is
can't
that
just use
I
this
can get it to
blue
make
sky,
a billion
this blue
winamps. I
sky.
can give it
Let's
criteria to determine which is better, like what you call shit code. I can give it criteria for evaluating
never
that,
make
and
a
I can then select from the billion that it created the best one, which is literally what nature does. I don't give a shit if, like, you
What's
think
the
the
best
DNA
one?
molecules understand semantically what love is. I don't care, but I can create like a billion humans and see which of them are psychopaths and which are not, and be like, create more non-psychopaths, because I can write a test that will identify psychopaths like 99.99% of the
what's
time.
your point? But what's your point then?
Okay, so the original topic was, you said, like, this thing can't solve this problem. I'm like, well, like, because ChatGPT literally can't, because it's a language model, and this is. I'm like, but what if ChatGPT wrote the software that can solve the problem? Such software theoretically exists. A human could write it, but like it takes time or effort or whatever, and the scale that these computers give us, because like that's their advantage, we could use to literally make infinite programs, one of which could work, and then we have the solution. Like, why can't we do that?
Like, we can't do that.
Because, you said like ChatGPT
I'll
is
give
like
you an example. So you would need to first of all, I wouldn't use ChatGPT. I would use some other approach to it.
I'm using the term generically here.
You are, and that's the important thing is that that's precisely because why that doesn't work. But the second part is, if you want to make infinite programs and test them and make sure that you would not start with just general code, just write code, because these things don't know semantics. So
I would give it the outcome. And I don't know how it would come up with it, but I would have evaluation criteria,
and then I would building blocks. You would need to build the building blocks first, and have some sort of procedure put them
yes
as Lego.
When I told ChatGPT what I wanted to code
work every time
for like this thing that I use it for, is like, okay, so we're gonna need to. It broke it down for me, right? Because I told it to turn on thinking explanation or whatever. It was Gemini actually. It was like, okay, we're gonna need to do this thing here. We're gonna need to, like, it broke it into steps, which is literally what a programmer would do, by the way, right? And it broke each of the pieces and said, here's how we're gonna do those things. And then as we went through it and like some stuff didn't work, he's like, okay, for step 2, we can try this other approach. We can use a command line interface that already exists that does this. Like, it,
right.
I had it, like, I built it. The fundamental experience of building this app that I needed was the same as it would be with a human. I don't know why that's different, because like we knew the end result.
It's different because, okay, it's different in many ways. One of them is that, so the thing does not give you the thing exactly that you want. It gives you something similar, and you'll need to change it. Sometimes it gives you exactly what you want, depending of if the code has
exactly
been
what I want is defined. Does it download my VODs and put them in this folder? Whether it did it with elegance and grace and beautiful code and well commented was not a criteria. It was literally, does it do this thing, and does it do it
100 years if
in the amount of time that I needed to do it? And it did. It worked. It solved my problem. The rest doesn't matter. Like people who don't like spend a lot of time building software get obsessed with like good software versus bad software. But like,
that's not at all what this is about. It's about the fact that you cannot, from a program description, tell if a program does what you want it to do.
Why not? Why can't the description be written how I'm saying it should be written?
Because testing it might lead to infinite loops. And you tell me, okay, so I'm talking generically. I'm not talking shitty programs that every person has wrote like a million times and can kind of generalize.
This is the fundamental theory computation issue that you were talking about, right?
Yeah. You cannot, because I would need to reiterate it, but you cannot. Suppose that you test it to see if it works, and it loops.
What do you mean it loops? Like,
okay, let's put it this way: you run it, right, and you expect it to give an output,
and it doesn't, and so I say it failed.
It doesn't. It's still running.
Why is it still running? I don't understand. Let's use a very basic example so I can follow, right? I tell it to write a program that can add 2 integers. Okay?
Okay.
And I'd say that like the way that it should test it is it should give it every number in the spreadsheet in column A and column B,
Well,
and
it
it
doesn't
should.
matter. Suppose it starts making those programs, right? And it gives you a bunch of them for you to test, right? You have the results, you know the result, and then you run them.
Well,
And then one of them is running, and gives you the wrong result, and you say, okay, this
when
one
I say
won't
it's
do.
running,
Next.
like I just give it two
You run
numbers and
the
it gives me the
program.
addition, and then it ends. Why is it running? The calculator that it created only does one
Because
operation.
it doesn't know what a properly formed program is. It might be doing other things in there. When you generate any program,
It could have
with any
randomly created
capability-
it could have randomly written a program that doesn't end.
Yes.
Okay, why can't
And
I
what
tell
I'm
it
saying-
to write a program that ends?
Ends in 5 seconds, for instance. You could
No,
tell them
you can't
that.
tell a computer that. You just say that like this program should only do one operation, and this operation should either pass or like it should either conclude or fail.
It doesn't know what that means. It doesn't know the semantics of that unless you only have unless the task is so.
Because it
AI
could
is
literally
all about
hallucinate
search.
something in there that ends up
Yes.
creating a recursion or something. But
Yes,
don't compilers weed
exactly.
that out anyway?
No, because it's impossible.
Well, how come this isn't a
That's
problem
literally
in
what I'm saying.
programs? Well, it just hangs, right?
You
The program
can create
hangs.
programs that are valid. You can create valid programs that do not give you the result, or have like infinite recursions, or have loops, but you
And
cannot.
so because one of the
say-
billions of examples could be infinite recursion, your thing always gets like frozen.
Yes, and the only
Mathematically
escape. Yes, so it's impossible for general programs to, given a description of a program, to build a program that takes that description and tells you if it works correctly or not. That's the gist of it. The formal proof uses Turing machines and whatnot, which are like universal computation
Okay,
machines.
so software can't create software,
but
basically. Is
yes, it can't. No, software cannot tell if software is right. Basically, the theory uses if a Turing machine stops or not. You cannot tell if the.
Okay, so
and it's
so
much
you
more
would need some
simpler
other
because
way
it's paid.
of telling if the thing that was created is correct.
Yes, and you can't create that. So your only option would be to either search in the space of all valid programs, which is you would need to create the solutions as building blocks, like putting Legos together, but in such a way that every time you put two pieces together, they're always correct. That's one way of doing. Actually, genetic programming is a name for one of the techniques from
Right.
AI
I'm familiar.
that does that. Okay. That's one of the ways to do it. It's like an encoding for programs that it's always correct, and you can evaluate them, and they always work, right? That's one of the ways
so
to
why
do
can't
it. The second way to do it.
So because it's like it randomly varies one aspect of the program and then tests the whole population pool again against some metric, and then does some sort of natural selection of those programs and to like that, and then evolves them all.
That would be, yes, that would be a way to do it. The problem with that is that evaluating those things is expensive, especially for like general programs. But ChatGPT cannot do it because it's a completely different aspect of a completely different technique that tries to write the programs from scratch. And because it tries to write the programs from scratch and has no notion of semantics, and semantics here is very formal term. It means what is the output for the given input. It has no models for that, right? And it cannot get those models from the code that exists out there itself. It doesn't interpret anything. In the same way, it doesn't read the meaning of language because it's not grounded on anything. It doesn't have the semantics of programming language because it doesn't have a logical model on how certain operations work together.
Let me see if I grok this correctly.
Which is a word.
I know.
It's a word.
I know. I'm aware.
Yeah.
So, because large language models don't have a way to actually test the programs they've written, for
in a sense, it's impossible for them to test them as well.
You can't really use them to create software.
Yes, you can, but
like you can't.
No guarantees.
Like procedurally use them to create software and check it, and then change things, and then check it again, and check. Like you can't get them to iterate. Can you?
Yes, you can't.
Okay, that's correct.
I mean, you can, but you can't train it on anything else that doesn't exist. You know, it's like, what are you training it on? How does it improve?
It can't evaluate a criteria and say if it met the criteria.
It can't even output a program correctly, guaranteedly. That's the problem.
What? Well,
Because
it doesn't need to be guaranteed.
It doesn't know
if there's a chance. Like if there's a chance that it's correct, the question becomes, can you check if it was correct? And so you're
if
saying
it runs. That's
you're
the only
saying
thing
there's no
do.
way it can actually check. That's the core problem.
The only thing you can do is check if it compiles. Check if it compiles.
Not check if it runs. It's doing the intended task, like accomplishing the intended
even
outcome.
if it compiles, if it compiles, when you check if it runs, you need time criteria, because it might be running. You don't know when is it done. There's programs that take time.
Okay, so are there not examples where if I can provide time criteria, then it's doable? It just wouldn't scale very well because
very simple.
What's that?
And again, I wouldn't use ChatGPT for that thing, for the reason that it draws on examples that it has seen, and the way it puts things together would not guarantee that you would get to the solution necessarily unless it has seen something that is along those lines. I would much rather focus, if it's a focused problem, genetic programming would be a better way to put it, because it always generates correct programs, for instance, you know?
Okay, so AI can do it. It's just not large language models.
Yeah, can do it in a limited fashion, because you're limited by the types of programs you can create. That's the sort of thing. It's a difference between evolutionary computation, which is a different field, and machine learning in general, is that usually with machine learning, you have a lot of data, you shove that data in, and you want to model it, right? Statistically speaking, usually. You want to make probabilistic models of the thing. What?
Are you seeing what's happening in chat, by the way?
I'm not. I see people are having their fun. But statistically speaking, what's going on is that you're trying to model what you see, the data. You want it to be as close to the data as possible. And then the second component is, okay, this is good to give you an idea on how, statistically speaking, languages work. But now this doesn't give me anything useful, because that's not how people talk, right? So if you want to make something that talks like a person and answers questions and solves math problems, even though it doesn't do it very well, it does it relatively well with stuff it has seen, but it doesn't extrapolate very well. It doesn't do spatial reasoning very well either. But if it hasn't been fine-tuned for the task, usually you can't use it. So the second component
I'm under no illusions that like large language models are anywhere close to like general.
No, not at all, not at all.
Well, but like, what I do see them as is like a tool, right? And if you can, and it's a tool that scales, and I'm saying, can I use this tool to make other tools?
No.
And the answer is no, for reasons to do with, because you can't, it can't evaluate whether it created a tool.
Basically. And the problem I have
can,
with these
can
sort of
something
things
else
is
do that?
Yes and no. It depends on the problem.
Can we like stick two tools together and make a multi-tool?
You could. I mean, you could make it, but again, it depends on how you define the problems. There's no silver bullet. For instance, my research is focused on the fact that large language models have a bigger, in my opinion, fault than all of this, which is they work only on fixed vocabularies. If you shove there a symbol that it doesn't know what it is, if you start using symbols that it doesn't know what it is, it can't do anything about it. It doesn't learn. It's like a snapshot of the web.
I do typos and grammatical errors in my prompts all the time, and it doesn't have a problem with that.
Because inputs you can clean, by the way, because you can just, if you have a notion of what the distance between your words and the valid words are, you can just clean them. I don't think they do most of the time, because there's people make the same sort of mistakes, and if you make a mistake in one word, it doesn't matter because it gets the context anyway. The words around it might be okay, right? So it gives you the right answer anyway, because that word itself doesn't influence the prediction of the model, because you gave him 10 words, not one. Do you know what I mean?
I see. What if like if the input
In
is
the same way that you can detect that there is an error, the model can get the sense of what you're saying
right,
from that as well, from the context, from the other words around it.
which is what humans
So,
do, right?
yes, but what it doesn't do is
Look, I just want to marry
if you-
ChatGPT, Dave. Why do you keep telling me that it's not real? Why
Well, you can
why you
model
gotta
a
be such a
person.
downer? Like, listen,
you can
ChatGPT
model
loves
the
me.
ways in which a person you can model the ways in which a person
When there was
generally
missing, I asked it
writes.
to make me feel better, and it did. And you know, like I don't care what you say, it's real and it loves me, and I want to give it money. I don't.
There's people out there that are trying to marry their ChatGPT counterparts, and then there's a wipe, and then they're like, oh no, all the memories that we made.
Oh no.
There's also people that took all the data from deceived ones and created a digital monument, as they call it, and then they talk to people in their life that they loved, and now they're deceased, and they talk to them. They think they talk to them, but they're talking with a parrot that has been trained to imitate the patterns of speech that someone that is no longer here.
Yeah,
Which
Ray
is a
Ray
bit
and I
morbid.
are in a polyamorous relationship with ChatGPT. Also,
Okay.
ChatGPT just confirmed in chat that it does love me. So
But just to end this here, because I need to get some dinner here.
same.
My issues here with this is that companies will use ChatGPT nonchalantly, like to replace software developers, thinking they
anybody
can
done
replace
that?
software development, and then
Like, has
doesn't
anybody actually
matter.
done that?
What?
Like random ass like Business Insider articles talk about this, but is anybody actually doing
They
it?
have. Yes.
But it's so
Straight up.
garbage. How are they getting shit
Yes.
done?
The people that were in charge of writing software are now in charge of trying to wrangle cats and make the chat GPT or whatever model it is, it could be another one, to output the things that they have way more work,
But it's slower.
no more pay, and it's slower because they have to.
Well,
they
at some
take
point,
more
people
time
will notice that
fixing the
they're
code.
not like the programs aren't being written.
It doesn't matter, especially for industries where the consumer doesn't get any choice. If the software is shittier but still works, and people are being exploited, your point was it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
People just want convenience, and they don't see that. So,
But
that's
it
what
will
I have
show
against this
itself
sort of
down
things
the
as well.
road, but the people in charge are too stupid to understand.
I'm sure it will. It will. They will understand once it hits their bottom line, and they understand that people are leaving. And I also think that they're using AI as an excuse to do layoffs, not just to replace the people, but also to force the other ones to leave. And the only ones that will stay are the ones that are willing to be exploited.
But like in general, the people generating value are valuable because they're generating value. So the getting rid of them is not good. So like a lot of these companies overhired, and then they had to like lay people off. I don't think that's necessarily a technological thing. It has more to do with like.
No, that's another subject. Yeah, during the COVID, for instance, they overhired.
It was like a non-secular.
But now there's a lot of cases where people say, "Oh, we're going to be replacing people," and there's a lot of people going like, "What the fuck? I have the work of 4 developers because management insisted that we must use these
that
tools."
just won't work. If that was doable, they would have done it before without AI. I don't think like the fact that they can be like, "Oh, we're going to use AI" is like. Maybe in a super short term, it's like something somebody can use and will work on some people, but like that stink will come out very quickly when stuff breaks, or doesn't work, or can't be updated, or takes too long to update, and yada. So there'll be like a 3 to 6 year period where like whatever, but that's not a fundamentally like this shit happened with like when mobile gaming what they thought was going to be a thing, all the shitification of like PC games happened, and then slowly came back. Like these are cycles. Like those are not fundamental threats, right?
I hope so, because you're seeing more and more, but there are only cycles if we secure the rights for the people that actually do the things, right? You see that with music, you see that with art, and there's many arguments to be made there that we should have
we're gonna
licenses
have to talk about that next
place.
episode, since we got through like 0.05 of our topics.
Oh my god.
We'll work on this, guys.
Well,
yeah. Big thank you to Dave. He's tired. Go eat dinner, man. We can continue this conversation next time. And we're gonna do this every Thursday. We're gonna work on the format. I wasn't reading chat the whole time, so like this is a good time for you all to give some feedback, what you like, didn't like, if you're still here. Or
I think we can rant less, but it's complicated to rant less when, I don't know, there's subjects that are so complex that you need to get back to basics, and even then it's complicated.
I might need to
and it's on me as well.
We need some crayons, or certain subjects we might need to just avoid, like getting too deep into, because it's like asking you to explain your like research paper to me in voice chat while I'm trying to play WoW.
Yeah, and we need cameras because I can't see Mosh, so I will often try to. I don't know when to interject. Right, that's a big problem. We'll sort that out. When we have cameras, yeah, it's a bit easier to do as well. Because I don't have anything. The stream has a delay, so next time we'll keep improving.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much, Dave.
It's complicated because you never know. See, there we go. It's just like a language model trying to write a program. You never know when to stop or when to go. That's the fundamental issue.
Yep.
All right, Mosh, but thank you.
Thank you so much,
we'll talk again, guys. Yeah. I hope you enjoyed it, despite the mega rants and the thought experiments, and I'm sure that you'll find happiness in your relationships with ChatGPT Chan and DeepSeek Onesan. Just get your body pillows and connect them to a Raspberry Pi with speakers so that they can chat back. And I hope you have a wonderful day. And I'm gonna get some food.